The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Ladies and gentlemen, the Church of Lazlo has begun.
Yo, my man.
How the hell are you?
I am great. How are you?
I am very, very, very well. Thank you. It's hot as hell in here.
It is, but we can't open up the door.
So the air conditioner or something is broken, and all the other radio stations, when this happens, they prop their door open and the engineers bring fans.
Yeah.
They blow air. And when they ask to do it every time with us, we say, leave the door closed. They don't even ask anymore.
Because not only because of what we're saying on the air, but God forbid when the mics go off. Talk about canceled.
We'd be done. We'd be totally done.
Could you imagine if everyone in the building just heard the conversation we had before we turned on these microphones?
Honestly, and I'm not joking, I think the police would get involved, briefly at least. I think they would.
They want to talk to.
They want to talk to us.
I think sometimes they want to talk to you.
Maybe.
Today they'd want to talk to me.
Yeah.
They just at least want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, buddy?
I feel like they would. And definitely lose our jobs. Definitely. And, you hear all these people who constantly get busted.
Hold on 1 second, Jess. I got to read you a text. It says, let's go. Trip for two on a Tuesday. If I win, I'll take some fast mom and I'll buy her a Lions jersey that says undefeated.
There you go. Yes, do be listening for that.
Yeah, we're going to get you qualified for the trip for two at 2.
Yes, and we will tell you when to text. Not now. And when you text, you just text 2 p.m., number 2, and then p.m. to 96500. You get qualified. You only get qualified in the 2 o'clock hour on our show. We're trying to remind people that we are on in the 2 o'clock hour.
Yes.
And then on Friday, Lazlo will call the last 4 digits of one of the numbers that was qualified, and all you gotta do is call back. That's it.
Headed to Mexico City to see Cage the Elephant.
Pretty simple.
And then we'll do a trip the following week, too. We've got some good ones lined up for you.
And the one this week is pretty awesome. I'd like to go to see Cage the Elephant in Mexico City.
Yeah.
I've never been to Mexico City.
Me neither, actually.
But I know what kind of show Cage the Elephant
puts on. I've been to
Tijuana. You have? I've been to the touristy, Playa del Carmen.
I've never been to any of the. You know what? I say
I
I've
went
been
to Chichen Itza.
I know people say, but I didn't go to Tijuana as an adult for fun. I was a kid. My grandpa took me.
What? Why? Let's see another country? Or come with me, boy, I'm buying
I think you could just go past, the border thing was not a big deal back then.
Okay.
I was a kid, and he lived in, I don't know, Arizona somewhere, and I don't know how close that is, to be honest with you, but I think, we were visiting him for a vacation, and I think my grandpa, I think my mom was there. I'm trying to remember in my head. We went to Mexico for a couple days.
Maybe block some of this out.
Nah, it was because I was young. He died. Everybody in my family dies in their 70s, so I was young. I was probably 6.
Okay.
I remember going there and him buying me tchotchkes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a big sombrero or something to put in his. He had a big Cadillac Eldorado, white one.
Nice.
Yeah, he was one of those guys.
So you heard that, yesterday we talked about Rick Ocasek passing. I always want to say, okay, how'd they die? I don't care that he was 75, which the article that I
Everybody's
had says
dying in their 70s now. I thought we were supposed to be living longer, right?
I was told...
Is her name Cookie Roberts? Cokie Roberts? Something like that?
Oh, yeah.
She died today. She was in her 70s.
Yeah, I saw that. She was 75 or something.
Everybody just dies in their 70s now.
When I was a freshman in high school...
How old was your dad?
He was 80.
He made it long. My dad was 73.
I remember in high school science, freshman year, the teacher started the very first class of the year with talking about life, and he said, now, all of you in this classroom don't really have to worry about death because you're all going to live to be at least 100. Your generation will live to be 100. I was like, we will? Because people are still dying at 78, 79. Things are going to change. This is awesome. I'll live to be 100. No kidding. The kid next to me... probably shouldn't be saying this, but he died of cancer 2 days later. Oh, my God. And then I was like, no, nothing. There is nothing guaranteed. We're all going to die. But Rick, so I always want to know how people die.
Somebody say, I listen to sports talk all the time, and I heard somebody say the other day, my dad always used to say, there's nothing guaranteed except for death and taxes. That's what he would say.
Yeah.
That was a big saying. I heard some football coach say, I was talking to his team or something, he said, there's nothing guaranteed in life except for setbacks and opportunities. And I thought, well, that's a different way to look at it, right? Like, yeah, that's really true.
That is true.
It made me want to do something. I didn't do anything, but it made me want to do something.
That's something.
I was like, that's a motivational thing,
moment.
right? You're right. I don't have to sit in this setback. I can look for the next opportunity. But then, I just drove home.
Yeah.
I had a beer and watched Monday Night Football. Well, there's an opportunity to relax. I might as well take advantage of it, huh? What about that, Coach?
There you go.
An opportunity to finish off this Blue Moon beer. I'm going to go ahead and have 2 of those.
Well, I always look to see how people died.
Okay.
Just wondering if there's something new that I got to worry about. If they say, well, you know what it was. Turns out that he had a car interior on this certain car. They think it gave him cancer. Do you remember when that was a thing like 20 years ago?
Well, now the
new
whole
car smell. There's always something.
Well, yeah, the weed killer.
Oh, yeah, Roundup.
Who the hell hasn't used that?
I know.
And I just see commercials that are just like, did you use Roundup? Like, of course.
Of course I did.
Well, how can you prove it? Because I'm an American with a lawn?
Some in my garage somewhere that's been there for years.
Because I have a lawn? Of course I've used it.
I almost feel like with that stuff, though, I think the company could say, did you smell what it smelled like? You're telling me that you smelled that and didn't think this might kill me eventually? Like, when I smell those harsh chemicals, I think, this is bad.
I don't know.
This could probably kill me.
I just don't think like
Roundup,
that.
That's caustic. That smells terrible. But I just don't use any of that stuff.
I have a blind view that the punishment would be so hard that if they were putting something out that would kill people, that they would stop doing it. I know that's clearly wrong and been proven wrong time and time and time again. But I always look at something like, well, God, like it's a big bottle of Roundup or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, man, that kills everything in its sight. Might not be good for you. But I think, if it killed you, they wouldn't be selling it here, right?
Yeah, that's true. You do
I
like
just
to
kind of
think
just like,
safety. There's somebody keeping you safe.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true. So Rick Ocasek died from, they said that he had a pulmonary emphysema. That was a contributing factor. I don't know if he smoked. I imagine he smoked.
He's a rock star.
Yeah, and he wore a lot of leather and stuff.
They should be able to fix that.
I know, right?
That's something they should be able to fix.
Let's fix childhood cancer first. Right. I hate kids with cancer. It's so ridiculous to me and makes me so angry. I don't want to live in a world where kids get cancer and have to go through chemo and get sick and worry about whether or not they're going to survive.
We should fix everything with kids first.
Horrible. Fix the stuff with kids first.
Like I said, my oldest goes to he goes to Children's Mercy, and he goes to a pediatric
cardiologist.
Yeah, that shouldn't exist.
Right? No, shouldn't.
Like that job shouldn't exist. I'm glad that it does.
My niece has
and
to
his
do that
people
too.
are great.
Yeah.
But you're like, man, that shouldn't exist. The word pediatric and cardiologist shouldn't go together.
Yeah.
But they do, so we should fix that.
Yeah.
But also the breathing thing, even if it's from, I know people say smoking you do to yourself or whatever.
Fix it.
That seems to me like a pill. And I know my dad had emphysema, and he could take a pill and he would be better for a while.
Well, I say build a lung. They're building organs now, and I know it's too expensive, but I want that made cheap. I want Trump or whoever you call, is that what you call your senators for? Do something to say, I want tax money to go to building organs. I want to have backup organs. So if I need a liver, I want to make sure they can get it done in a month or something, and it's my liver, it's ready for me. I don't have to wait for someone to die. If you need a heart, you get a heart.
I don't know, someone text me and tell me who said this. The government giving you money, right?
Yeah.
And I know the Yang thing, and look, I'm with the Yang gang. I want to hear more. I'm not totally opposed to this guy. I want to hear more. But somebody was saying that we should give every American, and I thought, well, now this is even a better idea.
I'm curious.
Maybe not better. Every American $100.
Okay.
On their tax return, you get $100, right?
Okay.
And that $100 can only be given to a political campaign.
Okay.
Or some sort of political activist group.
Oh.
If you were to do that, so you can't give it anywhere else. Find a group and give it to them, be it the ACLU or the NRA, whatever you want, right? Give it to Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang or Donald Trump, right? The RNC, the DNC, you got to find some place to do it, right?
That's interesting.
If you do it, you would outspend lobbyists 8-1.
Wow.
8-1, and it's just $100. You say, hey, you can't spend it on anything else.
Come up with that. Bush gave us all $300 back in 2003 or something.
And by the way, it's going back in. So, and you would outspend lobbyists. Don't know.
So, like someone on Twitter or something, though?
I read it, and I was like,
Okay.
that's a really good idea, and then I forgot who it was, and I didn't credit him. Sounds like Bernie, maybe, but I don't know for sure. Sounds like Yang, maybe, but I don't know for sure.
Well, Rick died from the pulmonary emphysema and then hypertensive atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. So, heart attack. That's what it sounds like. Some sort of heart disease. I had to look up atherosclerosic, and it says it's a plaque buildup in your artery walls. Yeah, I'd like a pill for that, too. Do I have plaque in my artery walls? Can we get rid of that?
Yeah, you got to get your blood taken.
Yeah, do something. Clean that up. I don't even want to get my blood taken. You should just be giving me stuff that they say we don't even need to check your blood because this stuff will keep you fine. Just want death to be fast, you know? I want it to be quick.
See, if I put in the $100 for political parties, it just comes up with Andrew Yang and the UBI.
Someone should text in and say. I don't see it either.
Somebody said
Yang. And then I also heard that Rick had surgery or something. And so, remember yesterday we said his estranged wife.
Oh, somebody said that the $100 was Yang, too.
It was him? Okay.
Yeah.
I read that Rick Ocasek's estranged wife, which we didn't know that they were estranged. We all thought that they were married. He'd had surgery, and so she came to check on him. And she thought he was asleep. And, she like goes to touch him, and she's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like, they thought that it was a successous surgery.
I guess
he was recovering well.
some divorces are, amicable that
maybe
way.
they weren't divorced. Does estranged mean like maybe we were taking time apart? Since could you just
I've
say
never
we're gonna
really
live...
thought what estranged means. I always thought it meant crazy.
I feel like it means that you're not currently living a normal cohabitation.
No longer close or affectionate to someone. Alienated.
Yeah. So if
or for a wife or husband, it could be no longer living with their spouse.
It's like they take time
I always
off.
went to the first one that just said alienated.
When I was a kid, my friends' parents would split up all the time. They were married, but Dad would leave. I go over there and I was like, "Where's your dad?" He's like, "He's in an apartment. He's there for a month." And it happened several times with kids, but they stayed married for years. But he would sometimes just get out of the house when they started fighting too much. He's like, "I don't want to fight in front of the kids," and he'd go get a place. And I feel like in those moments, that was her estranged husband.
Got it.
They were married, but he wasn't there.
So people are saying, just to clarify, because the Yang gang's going to get me, it was Yang. He said it during the debates, and he calls them democracy dollars to go with your freedom stipend.
There you go.
$100? I just thought that made a ton of sense.
Have you given any money to anybody yet?
I have.
Okay, I did too.
Do you want to admit who we gave it to so far?
I gave money to Bernie.
Okay. I've given money to 3 people.
Okay.
2 of them because I wanted. The way the DNC is running this thing is that you have to have so many donations from individual people.
Right.
And I didn't know if I was going to vote for these 2 people, but I wanted to hear more of them. So I was like, if I want to hear more of them, then I'll just give them like $2 each, and hopefully they get on the stage. So I gave $2 to Tulsi Gabbard.
Okay.
I wanted to hear more of her. I'm interested in what she has to say.
She's the Hawaiian senator, the friend of Syria. Okay.
Yep. And the guy from Wyoming, Bullock. Is it Steve Bullock?
Isn't Steve Bullock Colorado? Oh no, that's Bennett. That's Bennett. Yeah, Bullock is Montana. Is that right?
Montana. Yes. I wanted to hear more from him. That doesn't mean, so people can take that how they want. That doesn't mean that I would vote for him. I just thought those 2 needed to be on the stage.
And
I wanted to hear more of them.
Can we please?
And then I did give a little bit more money to Beto. I do like Beto.
Can we end the politicians becoming lobbyists? I saw Elizabeth Warren said she wants to sign that into law. Of course, that should be a rule. And we should. The whole idea of corporate lobbying and giving unlimited amounts of money to campaigns. Everyone, Republicans, Democrats, I don't care where you lie, libertarian, everyone should be pissed that big, rich companies are pulling our politicians' strings.
Right.
That's not how this is supposed to work. And everyone knew, the founding fathers and whoever else, they knew this could be a problem. They were worried about it. Well, it's happening. Well, it seems like we could fix that. We could at least try. We don't even try. We don't even try and make a law that says, hey, you know what, Amazon, you can't give $1 million.
But we do it with all these other industries, and they crack down on them, which are not nearly as important. And I mean this in the nicest way, but when I sold beer in between radio jobs, I took a job as, I worked for a distributor.
Okay, yeah.
And,
That's a job I've always kind of thought I'd like to do if I get
It's
fired.
a pretty fun job. But, like, if I sold, 5 cases of some beer, right? I worked for a...
Oh, so did you actually have to try and sell it to the liquor store?
I sold it to him, and then I deliver it to him, too, right?
Deliver. Okay.
So but I sold it to him, so I was a salesman, and then I delivered if it was a small thing.
Okay.
And say I sold, doesn't matter. I don't want to use any beer, because this is going to sound dirty. So let's say I sold them 5 cases of Stroh's beer, right? Mm-hmm. And then I went in there, and I just gave them an extra case of beer. That is completely illegal, and all of us could go to prison.
Okay.
And if they find out that you're doing it, they'll take your liquor license, they'll bust the place. Like, it's a big deal. Like, if you're going to do it, you are really risking your livelihood. Not only your livelihood, but in Detroit they're called party stores. Your party store's livelihood.
Okay. Oh yeah, party stores is a thing that I learned when I met Lazlo, because in Michigan, you can't sell liquor and stuff at the gas station.
Yeah,
so a party store
I think they can now.
Maybe
if you're going to Detroit, I think you can now.
But it was like a quick trip without gas. That was
exactly what it was. You walked in and they usually had like fried chicken, pizza, and booze.
Yeah, and that was
and
a party
it's just called
store.
a party store. Like my baseball team growing up was
sponsored by one.
Yeah, Tweenies.
That's awesome.
Tweenies parties and Tweenies Pizza and Sub party store.
Okay.
We had our uniforms were good. So I played baseball all the way up until I was like 18. We had like these white jackets, and they had black writing on the back, and everybody else was like, whatever, the so-and-so credit union, whatever, right?
Yeah.
The blue credit union Blue Jays or whatever.
Yeah.
But we were Tweenies Pizza and Subs.
That's awesome.
And we had these white jackets, and the guy had taken the T for Tweenies and turned it into so it looked like the P for the old Pittsburgh Pirates logo, and our whole logo looked like that. Then he bought us the old black and yellow jerseys with the old Pittsburgh Pirates hats that stood straight up and were round with the T on them. Man, wearing that party store gear around was like that you were playing for the coolest baseball team in town.
No kidding. Is it in Farmington, Michigan?
Yeah.
They're still open.
Yeah.
We should call them and get some T-shirts sent down here. I'd like a Tweenies pizza and beer
Subs,
T-shirt.
Yeah. Is that what's it called now?
It says this calls it Tweenies Liquor and Pizza.
There you go.
But when I looked them up, they did have one of them said pizza and restaurant, but yeah.
Yeah, they could have changed it around a little bit. But it was Pizza and Subs when I was there.
Which I kind of think sounds a cool sound to it.
They might not have been able to sell liquor then.
But liquor and pizza sounds good too.
But they might not have been able to sell. They might have now they can sell liquor. Maybe it could have just been beer and pizza.
Yeah.
So now they want to make sure you have liquor there. But yeah, Farmington.
And then also our union friends are on strike at
You should call them when we get off here.
Fairfax. Call Tweenies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. Our union friends at the GM plant are on strike. We mentioned yesterday that there were some GM union members who were going to go on strike.
Yes.
I wasn't positive at the time what was happening in Kansas City. But the strike shut down 33 plants, 22 parts distribution warehouses. It's unclear how long the walkout will last, but Fairfax employees, which is obviously here, is 2,300 people. Several workers at Fairfax were already picketing, and Local 31 President Clarence Brown said the strikes will be there 24/7, according to KCTV. Now, the contracts did not affect the Ford plant, which employs like 6,600 people.
So the Ford workers, they're not on strike. It's just GM,
they're not on
right?
strike. Ford and the UAW extended their contracts, or extended their negotiations or something. But Ford's not on strike. So the men and women at the Ford plant are working. It sounds like the men and women at Fairfax are on strike.
Okay.
So
that's just the GM workers.
Just
not
GM.
that that's bad, but
it's the GM plant, the Malibu plant. Yeah.
do your thing.
I tried to find.
I stand with you. No, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm a Detroit guy. I get it.
I tried to find this guy who's head of the local union there, but I couldn't find him on Twitter or anything. He's welcome to call.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what's going on, but just know that we're rooting for you. And, if we had real politicians...
Somebody's right. The text line says, hearing that party story explains why Lazlo is who he is in so many ways. It's true.
Yeah.
Love pizza, love beer, love baseball.
Yeah. So it worked.
Yeah, right?
And even if that shirt didn't help sell to somebody else, he made you a lifelong customer.
Oh, man, I am in.
Yeah. I was watching that Homicide Hunters show. Of course it was. Every time I watch that, I think Lazlo's mom's probably watching this right now. We were probably watching this show together, in different places, but we're watching the same. It's that Joe Kinda guy. You said when your mom was in town.
Yeah, she just watched all kinds of this stuff.
And it's just this old guy, and he says
I think she watched everything you watched.
I know.
She watched all the homicide stuff and then Flip This House and stuff. Beach vacation getaway for cheap or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know you watched that too.
Yeah, I do. And ever since you
basically
told me,
watch everything.
I realized at that moment, most of the people watching this are old women. And it makes sense. And now I view everything through I'll bet old women liked it when he said that. Mm-hmm. I'll bet his mom liked that.
Yeah.
But he was talking about that there's only 3 motives for murder. 3 motives for murder. And he says this constantly throughout the series. He says, there's only 3 motives for murder.
Okay, what are they?
Sex, money, and revenge. And I thought those are the only 3 motives for life. Pretty much.
Money, and revenge. What about hate?
I guess that's revenge. I guess that's covered in the revenge. You hate him, so you want revenge. But to me, that sounds like that's what motivates just about every part of our day. You go to work because you need money. You also need money because you want to be, someone who's successful so you can have sex. And if someone pisses you off, you let the air out of their tires or something.
Revenge. Is that really the only 3
That's
motives
what he says. There's only 3 motives for murder. Sex, money, and revenge. He says it over and over. And he'll constantly point out, you see, I told you, this one was revenge. This one was money. This one was murder. My. That's
what
his
about
catchphrase.
fun?
My. Right, what about the guy who says, I just like killing. I just love killing people.
Right.
That has to happen.
I'm sure there's serial killers who don't have sex.
Yeah.
They don't get any money from it, and they're not taking any revenge.
Right.
They just like it.
They like to kill
They have
people.
some sort of need.
So maybe he would say, I'll bet he would say serial killers
Sexually motivated.
are exempt. Yeah.
Oh, maybe. But maybe just watching, that serial killer show, whatever it was called. What is it?
Mindhunter?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everything goes back to sex somehow.
Yeah. Well, I just thought when he said those are the 3 motives for murder, I thought, yeah, that sounds right, but it also sounds like the 3 motives for getting up in the morning. What gets you out of bed in the morning? The thought of sex, money, or revenge? What else?
Protection?
Protection from what?
Okay, so let's say you don't really hate this person.
Okay.
But you're doing something, well, I guess it would be money. You're doing something that you shouldn't do, and you know that they know, and you could get in trouble. Mm-hmm. But you don't hate them. It's not revenge, because they haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
But it's a preemptive strike.
Okay. I feel like that would be covered under the revenge umbrella somehow. Revenge for what you think they're about to do.
Right, see?
Right, it's like Minority Report revenge.
I'd like to talk to that guy about that. I like a good, solid preemptive strike.
Well, here, I'll just...
Like, nothing's happened yet.
I'll just tweet him right now.
But it could.
How do I sell this guy? Tell him we do an international show. I mean, we're online, right? So
sure, we are.
Should I say... old guy probably likes to be called sir, right?
Sure.
Hello, sir. Or, no, I'll call him lieutenant. Hello, Lieutenant Kenda. Right?
Okay.
How's that?
Sure. Okay. I don't know who this guy is.
I know, but old people do. So the old people in their car are getting real excited right now. Hello, Lieutenant
People
Kenda.
said in the text line, just to answer you, self-defense isn't murder. It's self-defense.
Right.
So that doesn't count.
What do I call this? We would love to have you on we would love to interview you.
Sure.
We would love to interview you on
our international radio show and podcast.
International radio show and podcast.
Sure.
I should say huge fans of the show, even though you've never seen it.
Right. And say my co-host disagrees with your 3 motives for murder.
Okay,
I think he may have a good point.
Co-host
mercy kill, not murder.
Disagrees with the only 3 motives for murder. How's that? I'll put that in quotes. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I just say, follow me in DM if you're interested.
Sure.
Well, maybe we'll get him on. One of the things Lazlo and I were talking about before we went on the air, and I have no idea why this became a thing, but Lazlo's uncle is a retired detective.
Yes.
And Lazlo's told me stories, and one of the things that we've talked about and that Lazlo asked him at one point was, can someone get away with murder? Obviously, people get away with it. Is it just dumb luck, or are they good at getting away with it?
Right.
And Lazlo's uncle basically he gave the secret of like that if you want to get away with murder, there's one way to do it.
Yeah, he said that if you. Yeah, I'm sure he said that if you killed someone completely random, that you didn't know, and it had to be completely random, that everything about it had to be random. One time, then he probably wouldn't catch you. It would be very hard for him to catch you. As soon as you did it twice, he'd catch you. He's not saying he wouldn't catch you, but it'd be very, very hard. And then it would be even harder to prove in court. But if you did it twice, he's got you.
But then at that point, you have to be a psycho because who kills a stranger that they don't know?
Exactly. That's what he was saying. So right now, you just got to... Right, yeah.
So, I mean, if I wanted to kill someone, I'd have a reason I want to kill him. And here he's basically saying, yeah, that...
If you got a reason, I'll catch you.
Yeah, I'm going to catch you. So don't do it. Just don't. You're going to get caught. That's a little bit of a bummer, just takes that option off the table because
he's basically saying you can't do it.
I'm very scared of prison, as you know. So,
and I'm guessing if you have the compulsion to kill someone once, which I don't, but if you did, then doing it once probably wouldn't, at least from the murder mysteries TV shows you and my mom watch.
Yeah, that
just wouldn't be enough for you.
Yeah,
you'd become some sort of compulsion again, and then you'd probably get caught.
Yes. Okay, so we should get people qualified right now. We're going to do headlines in a few minutes. We should get people qualified right now for the trip at 2. So you text 2 p.m. to 96500. The number 2 and p.m. just together.
And you can get qualified every day.
Yes.
So don't think, I got qualified yesterday. You can get qualified every day. You'll be qualified more than once. You're fine.
Yes. And have you tried it? I think it asks for your name or something.
Yes.
You are qualified once you do that. Once you finish that, you are already qualified.
You're qualified.
And then you just have to listen on Friday. So right now, it's active. You can text 2 p.m. to 96500 to get qualified. And then on Friday, Lazlo will draw a number, and someone is going to go see Cage the Elephant in Mexico City, which all-time greatest shows. It's hard to pick a favorite. There's times where I think, no, you know what? That was the greatest show. But I feel like I'm lying anytime I say anything other than that Cage the Elephant show that you got me into in New York, where they took all of our phones and he was climbing on the Raptors.
That was a good one.
And I mean, that was...
Did I ever tell you my Cage, why we might still have jobs?
No.
Did I ever tell you my Cage the Elephant story?
Mm-mm.
All right, real quick. Mm-hmm. They fly all of us like, middle management guys, right? This company flies us all like once every 5 years. We all get together, right? Mm-hmm. And then, a lot of like people have done these. So like, I don't know what they're called, retreats or whatever, right? And, they talk about, how we're going to do better in the business, blah, 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 right? And then you get to see all of the major people of this corporation and they give speeches. They bring in other people to give speeches, right?
Yep.
One night, they take us on this bus out to I think it was in Salt Lake City. They take us out on this bus, and they take us to this bar. We walk in, nobody says anything, and it's only people working here, and Cage the Elephant walks out on stage.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, man. And so Cage the Elephant plays for just us. And you know how I don't really like people?
Yeah.
So I don't really like people, and I don't really want to talk to people, but there's all this mingling going on with radio people, and the truth of the matter is, most radio people suck.
They're worst. It's so bad.
You don't want to hang out with them.
You fear, like, am I that person?
Right.
God.
So I'm standing at a corner, and there is a guy standing there, and I've never seen him before, right? Never seen him before, so I'm like, I'm going to stand next to this guy. I don't know who he is. I stand next to him, and he says hi. And actually, we start talking a little bit, and he's like, I like this band. I don't know a ton about them, but I bought, I think it was even like, I didn't buy this last record, but I bought the middle one. But these guys, we're just talking, and I'm like, I wonder, does this guy own the bars? You know what I mean? Like, He doesn't seem like a radio guy.
Right.
And we're just talking, and I actually really, I go and buy him a beer. We ain't just talking for like an hour, right?
Okay.
As the show's about to end, the CEO of this company comes over, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, hey, you met Lazlo? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, man. He's like, crazy story, man. He's like, this is my best friend. He lives in town here. I didn't even know he lived in town here, but when we were here, he said, he was in town. I didn't know he was in town. We ended up texting each other, and he said he was here. So I said, man, come and join us. He's like, I'm glad somebody stopped and talked to him. And I was like, what? I spent like an hour and a half with your best friend.
Did you get
And then
his
he
number?
turned around, but he turned around. He's like, oh, man, this guy's great, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yes.
Oh, my
That's like, I got like another year.
Oh, my God. That's pretty
Dumb
awesome.
luck because I didn't want to talk to anybody else.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. That night of the cage
So whenever
show,
he says, like, I'm going to let you go, I'm like, why don't you text your friends, see if that's a good idea?
Exactly. We're buddies.
Exactly.
You lost me that night when I was with you in New York to see that show.
Yes.
You said, hey, come to this thing. This is the address. But you were with other people. Lazlo has this very small group of people that he feels comfortable around in there. It's always the same, like 3 people, and they always disappear. And anytime someone says, where's Lazlo? You're like, he's probably with these same 3 people that they all hang out. They're all friends. So I have no friends, so I show up in an Uber, and there's nothing there. It's a dark building. There's nothing there. And he goes, this is the address, man. So I start walking around. Finally, someone says, are you trying to get to the show? It's in here. It's like a secret thing. Took our phones, the whole deal. The show was amazing. And then after the show, I see Lazlo for like a second. He says, hey, we're going to go to a party.
Oh, I remember this.
At this address. So meet us there. Okay. So I call an Uber. Again, I'm by myself. I go to this address, and I don't know anything about New York. I'm on this corner downtown. There's bars and restaurants on both sides. I see one of the guys from Cage the Elephant who's in the band. I was like, oh, man, I'm a little scared to talk to him, but I feel like I got to ask somebody. So I'm like, hey, are you here for this party? And he's like, yeah, but I think you're walking the wrong way because I think it's over there, but I'm not going in there right now. And I was like, well, I don't want to go in this place if there's nobody there. You know. So as I'm standing there, walking around kind of like in a circle.
I can still picture you on your phone walking around in circles as I'm looking at you out the window.
Yes. So as I'm standing there, Joe from Glass Animals appears.
Yes.
And says, hey, Slim Fast. Hey. And I was like, oh my God, like, what are you doing here? You're here? What the? He's like, I said, is this the Cage the Elephant party? He said, I know nothing about a Cage the Elephant party, but we're over here. So then I end up in a basement bar with Glass Animals.
Yes.
And I'm literally just talking to them for like 2 hours about travel and how expensive it is and whatever. And
the bar next door is the Cage the Elephant party.
The Cage the Elephant party, which I missed.
Right.
Welcome to New York. What the hell? Then I get in a cab to go to, what's the name of that studio?
A lemon party.
No. This was when we went to the studio.
That was the worst.
You hated it, and I was so mad that you wanted to leave. Electric Ladyland Studio, which is super famous. And on the way there...
And we went with the guy who produced Adele's record. He was in the cab with us.
That's the thing. Well,
there's a picture. You Googled him. He had like 8 Grammys in his hand.
You guys all took... You guys all got together. We took separate cabs.
Yes.
You rode with the guys from Glass Animals, like famous people that I knew. I get in the car with this guy that I had seen standing around, but I don't know him. You texted me and said, hey, that guy you're with is famous. Here's his name. Google him. Yes. I Google him, and the first thing that comes up is an image of the guy who's sitting next to me holding a bunch of Grammys in his hands.
Yes, like
He's
8 of them.
holding Grammys, and I was like, so what's going on, man? What do you do? And he's like, I'm a producer. And I was like, oh, cool.
Yes.
It was that whole night feels like a dream. And then we're in a studio listening to R&B music as loud as they can play it.
With all those people.
And all those people are there partying, and it was insane.
But come on, man, that one guy. There was the one guy.
He was a little out of control.
And of course, he was on
like a producer guy too.
And whatever. But
he has
just
long hair in his 40s.
Right, and he just kept coming up to me and you and be like, you guys going to do some of this? And I was like, no, man, I'm good. And he's like, you a cop? You a cop? And after about the 5th time he asked me, I was a cop, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning, I was like, you know what, let's go. And you're like, no, we're good. I'm like, yeah, but you're doing that stuff.
That's what I'm just
not
like,
doing that
just
stuff.
do some blow already.
I'm not the guy doing
You're
it.
freaking everybody out of here. What are you doing? You're such a square. You're going to get us kicked out. They are dancing over there to R&B music right
I'm like,
now.
no, I don't want to do that. It felt dangerous, but we left anyway. And then I heard 2 days later that guy checked himself into rehab.
Oh, really?
Because I think he was going to try to kill us.
I don't know about that. I felt fine with him, but we were on the same wave.
That sounded like it could have been in a... That felt like it could have been in a documentary about any of those bands or producers, and be like, this is the night something went wrong.
Someone you never heard
and they
of
killed
got
someone.
Killed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was me.
Just a little radio guy from the Midwest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a picture
got
of me.
Caught up in
died.
This party.
Yes.
And you're dead on the floor. There was literally a record player that was in this other room, and it had a vinyl on the record player, and there's just cocaine on it. Like I'm in a movie or something with that stuff was just there. Like I don't think anyone that was with us brought it with them. Like it was already there when we got in there. Like whoever was hanging out there just was ready to party.
Well, and when you went in, somebody had a handprint, and there was a guard outside.
Yeah, he's waiting.
But he wasn't a guard to help anybody inside. It was to make sure you were allowed.
Yes, but he let us in.
Oh, yeah.
I just said, like, I'm with these guys. He's like, all right. Go. Exactly what you'd expect. You're like big, intimidating dude with the radio. He's like going up. And I didn't even know where we were. I didn't know if this was a bar. I didn't know what was happening. Lazlo's in a different car. And I walk upstairs, and boom, we're in this huge, famous
Well, we
studio.
survived, and you should thank me, not be mad. It's not like I made us.
thank you for
It's not
it.
like I made us get out of there at 10 o'clock. People are like, "Oh, Lazlo's a square." I said let's leave at 5 a.m.
I know.
It wasn't 10.
I know.
You're like, "Come on!" I'm like, "Man, it's 5 a.m."
It worked out because then we ended up finding that lemon party, which
Yeah,
you
that
did
was
not
a lot of
enjoy,
fun.
but that was a lot of fun.
This is the Church of Lazlo on 95.5.
It's up to you, man.
Why can't I hear you?
I can hear me.
Oh, okay, there, I can hear you. Well, you know what? Let's change things.
I can't
We
hear
can
you
change
now.
things on the fly. Can you hear this?
Yeah, I can. Okay, there we go.
Let's try
Whatever,
this.
man. I'll do it however you want. I'm easy.
Let's just do it
This
this
ain't
way.
broadcast school.
You ready?
We'll roll however we want.
You see that guy who tweeted and said, the one thing I learned in broadcast school was you never eat on the air.
Oh, yeah.
And today I heard Lazlo eating at least 4 sliders, and who the hell knows what Slim Fast was eating. Hashtag still here. So, yeah, no, we don't usually follow the rules, and I didn't know if we were going to do this here. So, here we go. You ready to do it now, though? Let's do it.
Flashing with paparazzi involved in an incident.
These infected monkeys. This is Headlines on the Church of Lazlo.
Hit me with that news and information, Sugar Wiener.
We start again today with Iran. Iran. America, the U.S.
What's wrong with
says
Iran?
that Iran launched those missiles at Saudi Arabia's oil thingy.
They did?
Yeah, and we say it was them, and I think the Saudi Arabians say it was them. Saying Saudi sounds kind of like derogatory, doesn't it? The Saudis say they did it. Is that okay to say? I feel like people on TV say the Saudis.
No,
I feel
I
like
think
it's kind of like Jew. Like you don't say that anymore, right? You don't say like he's
The Jews?
They'll say the Arabians.
Saudi Arabians.
Like, he's an Arabian when they mean like back then.
I'm gonna go with Saudi Arabians. The Saudi Arabians.
I like Saudis. It's fine.
Okay, Saudis is fine.
I don't have
then.
a
We're good
negative
with Saudis.
connotation about that, just on surface level.
Yeah, for the word in itself. Okay, well, I guess there's been talks of the U.S. meeting with the Saudis and trying to figure out what to do about Iran. Trump had originally said, we're locked and loaded. Well, you better watch out, Iran. We're coming. And then he kind of softened his tone a little bit. And then last night at this rally was saying stuff like, we got plenty of oil. Thank God I'm your president, because if I wasn't your president, we wouldn't have any oil.
Today, we got a lot of oil, we got a lot of gas.
President Trump downplayed concerns about oil and gas prices while campaigning in New Mexico.
A few years ago, if we had a problem like you saw 2 days ago in the Middle East, we would have been in a panic. Although not if I were your president, we never panic.
We never panic.
Well, it feels-
Trump's in
yeah,
charge.
I always feel confident.
What was the
comfortable
thing that
when
he
says it.
said? Basically we got the Saudis back because they pay cash.
Yeah, they pay cash. He
They
likes
pay
selling stuff
cash.
because they tried to stop
But
selling.
he
some of
said
those-
that,
Yeah,
right?
He said it.
Like, I'm not naive enough to think that that's not true.
They've got money.
But that statement is outlandish.
Yeah, that was when some of the military people said, we don't want to sell more arms to the Saudis right now because there's whatever's going on in Yemen, and who knows? That's stuff that I don't know anything about. But I know that they said we don't want to sell them the stuff. And Trump said, yeah, we'll sell them the stuff. Come on. They got money. You don't turn down someone with money. So he likes them. I remember as a little kid, they pulled down the map in second grade, and Lazlo was in war. Lazlo was over there in a boat. Right, looking for bombs in the water. I'm sitting in second grade class, and they're showing me the different countries. And I remember the teacher pointing out Saudi Arabia. She said, "Now this big country here, they're our friends. They're like our best friends." She's like, "So we like them, okay?" And then see down here, here's Kuwait, and we like them too. And it's Saddam. He messed with them. You can't mess with them. But Saudi Arabia is our powerful ally. And so, you're a little kid. So from that moment on, I always thought, okay, Saudi Arabia. Then you start to learn, women can't vote there. They can't drive. Those Saudi Arabians flew planes into the buildings. I thought they were our friends. So I'm a little confused about our friendship. They murdered that journalist.
They murdered Khashoggi.
Yeah, they have kings, princes, whatever. Okay. But as far as I know, on paper, we're still friends. So if you bomb, and we're definitely not friends with Iran. So if Iran throws missiles over at Saudi Arabia, they're in trouble. Oh, and it went over Kuwait's airspace or someone's airspace it wasn't supposed to.
Got it.
So, but Trump has softened his tone, which is good. I think, personally, I would like to not get into another endless war. But he also said
John
something.
Bolton's not there anymore. That was his big thing, was Iran, right?
Yeah, Bolton was the Iran guy, and everyone was worried when he got the job because they're like, we are going to get in so many wars.
Yeah, he's a
We're going to
hawk for
start
Iran.
bombing people. Yeah. And luckily Trump said, when he fired him, he said, He said things in meetings that I totally disagreed with and were unacceptable, and so he got fired. Okay, good. I hope that you fired him because he was a hawk and wanted to go blow stuff up. And you said, don't do that. But we don't know
see
yet.
what kind of replacement we get.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe he said, he was the one guy in the room who's like, look, I'm all into blowing people up, but we might need a little bit more.
Might need an ally.
Or we may need to, make up a little bit more evidence here. Right. We may need to plant some stuff. Yeah. And they're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't need to plant. I mean, we take it at face value that Trump disagreed with him because from a logical standpoint, I'm not ready to make that big leap. Trump could clearly be crazier.
I think everyone thinks that, thank God John Bolton's gone. Who the hell is going to replace him?
Exactly. It could be worse. That's my thing. It could be worse.
Thank God he's gone.
It's like when you work for a crappy boss, and I know you two know exactly what that's like. You work for a crappy boss, but at least it's the devil you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, thank God we all disagreed with that person. You're going to fire him, and then somebody else comes walking in. You're like, oh, no.
But we're still in Iraq and
worse.
Afghanistan. That's John Bolton.
Right.
But if they fired Lazlo and Andrew Yang came in and replaced him, was like, here, I'm giving you all money. I'm super nice Asian guy. I'm great with numbers, and I love all you, and here's some money. Take some extra money. I'd be like, oh, my God, we got a new boss. I'm done for. It's over. It'd be terrifying. Trump said something else that is controversial. He was talking about Steve Cortez. They named the shoe after him. You know this guy? Okay, no, I'm just kidding. They didn't name the shoe after him.
Cortez?
Cortez Anonymous?
He worked at CNN. He's the guy that got fired from CNN. He was a big Trump supporter. And I think worked for the Trump campaign at one point. He's a former CNN guy. So Trump was talking about him last night and said, they fired him. And, he's Hispanic, but he doesn't look it. And just listen to what he says.
And another great friend of mine, somebody that was on CNN, and they didn't like him because he was too positive on Trump. Can you believe it? He happens to be Hispanic. But I've never quite figured it out because he looks more like a wasp than I do. So I haven't figured that one out.
And so that's a big headline. Trump says Hispanic person looks more like a wasp than he does. Oh, okay. Whatever. I think there's other stuff that you should definitely be angry about. But that's fine. Did you watch John Oliver this weekend by chance?
Well, that was a weird thing. You know what? I get what you're saying about Trump saying a guy looks waspier than I do. Yeah. Whatever. That was he happens to be Hispanic, and the people in the crowd are like,
exactly. It's scary.
Right. That part, I'm like,
It's scary.
Look, I get it. You're the grand leaders up there giving a speech. Still weird the way that you responded to that.
Yeah. On John Oliver this weekend, his big story was about immigration because Trump's big thing now is we're full, we're sorry, but we're full. We don't have any room. Go home. We don't need you. And one of the big things, that's what he keeps saying. We're full. He says it over and over. So we're full. I'm sorry. It happens, but we're full. So he keeps talking at these rallies about chain migration. You got to end chain migration because then they bring their kids in. And then, you know what? I've got a great aunt who's my aunt by marriage from 1772, and she's got to come. He does all this stuff so now everybody's got to come because my distant relative. Well, first of all, that's not how chain migration works, John Oliver pointed out. It's only immediate relatives you can sponsor, a limited number of people. But get this.
Melania part of chain migration?
Keeps talking about ending chain migration while Melania's parents were getting citizenship through the chain migration process.
Right.
She sponsored them because she's a citizen.
Right.
So her parents are now U.S. citizens
through
the chain migration thing. Can't someone call him out for that at a debate or something, please?
Right.
Can we bring that up?
Yeah.
That is insane. I mean, he's hypocritical about a lot of stuff. But you're talking about this as your in-laws are getting sworn in.
To his defense, he may not like that. To his defense, he may be like, we need to end this chain.
That's true.
Right, because these people are coming in here. And you may think that it's this big plan to stop people, but it's only to get these two assholes out of my living room. You know what? Part of him, I'm like, I get you.
Okay.
I got you.
That would be a good defense for him in a debate.
Yeah. Like, I didn't want him here.
Hey, Bernie
tell you what a
Sanders
pain in
called
the
him out or
ass they
something.
were.
Yeah. That would be a really good response. Like if Bernie said in a debate, like, well, you talk about chain migration, but your own in-laws. It's like, why do you think I wanted it ended? You want to hang with them?
I know the problems they cause.
My mother-in-law's the same age as me, which is another thing they pointed out on John Oliver. They're like within a year of each other in age.
Really?
Yeah, and they're like, I don't know how I feel as I get older. I'm really worried about becoming the guy where they go, like
worried of becoming.
Right. I mean, my girlfriend's 7 years younger than me now, but what if, she breaks up with me and in my 40s I meet someone who's 30 and I'm 48 years old or whatever. Now she's 18 years younger than me. She's an adult. That's okay,
Are you trying
right?
to talk to me personally?
What's your age difference?
11 years.
Right, but I don't think it's weird. But it's because I'm a guy?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it when I see the older woman with the younger guy. I'm like, good for you. That's awesome. Like Demi Moore, marrying Ashton Kutcher.
Sure.
Loved it. But I'm just a little worried that society as a whole goes, ugh, the same age as your mother-in-law. Look, I'll tell you, it is weird hanging out with your significant other's parents, and, you're like, dude, we're like basically the same age. It's a little weird. My girlfriend's dad is like
I think
my
it's more weird
brother's
for
age.
them. I would imagine it's more weird for them.
Oh, it's got to be weird for him
Because
when I
they're
walk
like,
into the house.
how you doing? You're like, you don't have to give me the mom and dad stuff. I'm
Right.
the same age as you.
Right. It's weird.
So that's going to be weird.
It's really weird. Yeah. I did the math, and my girlfriend's dad is almost the age of my oldest brother.
Your
So
brothers
he's
are
like-
all way older.
Yeah, but he's only like 17 years older than me or something. So it's pretty crazy. All right. Anyway, a woman in Florida was missing. This is a follow-up because Lazlo says I never do follow-ups. That woman who was missing in Florida and her kids were missing. Well, they found her. They had pulled her husband over, and as they were searching his car, they found his wife in the car. And then he said, she's dead. And then he says, I'll show you where the kids are. Come with me. And he's been obviously arrested.
Authorities in Georgia arresting Michael Jones Jr. today after he was involved in a crash. Then they found the mother's body in his car. Investigators say Jones led them to the location of the children's bodies. The Marion County Sheriff did not mince words when announcing the arrest.
I hate to be him when he stands before the Lord.
That's not mincing words. What about standing in front of the judge? Shouldn't you be scared of the judge?
Yeah.
That cop's like, I would not like to be him when he stands before the Lord. I think you should be worried about the judge. He just
Well, the
killed
Lord,
3 people.
though, if there is a Lord.
If there is a Lord, and that guy
I mean,
clearly
we're
believes
worried
there is
about them
one.
shouting out what kind of
Yeah.
porno we look at.
Right. And
Not like you did this to your wife and kids. That's a bad one.
this guy, I don't know.
You just hope you die like in the same time frame.
Yeah, that's true.
So that when they're shouting stuff off, like when you're at court, and you
Yes.
got a felony like I had, they're like, assault on a law enforcement, all the
Yes.
things but the guy in front of you has killed like 7 people. You're like,
yeah.
you go first.
Yes,
You go
right.
first.
I look like a
Because when I
saint.
walk up here, people will be like,
I screwed
kid,
up.
stop. Made a mistake. Have a drinking problem. Leave
Come
me
on.
alone.
Too many White Claws. This is, I won't do it again. This guy is like in his early 30s, and he killed his wife and his children. They said that.
Hey, wait, just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Text line brings us up. It says, since your older brother is actually your dad, your girlfriend's dad is the exact same
fair
age
enough.
as your dad.
Fair enough. But this guy, they're saying that he killed his wife and his children. They don't give the children days. They just say they range in age from 1 to 10. Well, then wouldn't they be 1 and 10? Is that what they're trying to tell me? Or they're just
Well,
giving me
it could be like
they
3
don't
and
want me to
7?
know? Yeah. So they've been missing for like 6 weeks. They're saying this guy killed his family and then stored the bodies at his home and in his van. So when they pulled him over, they found his wife's body, right, in the van.
Okay.
And they're like, yo, what the hell? And he's like, oh, there's others. I'll show you. So they're at the house. What if you're hiding?
I guess if you're caught.
Right.
Yeah.
But like if you're hiding bodies, don't hide it in the car you're driving around in. What are you doing? I mean,
Well, maybe
everyone
he was
gets caught
transporting
anywhere.
it somewhere.
But for that
Bad
many
luck.
weeks?
Oh, yeah.
He said that he'd stored. They are claiming that he says he stored the bodies in his home and in his van for several weeks before he took the kids' remains to Georgia. And maybe he was taking his wife up there to where he stored
Right.
where he dumped the kids. I don't know. But dude, what were you thinking? You killed your family. What is wrong with you? Remember that guy who killed his wife and daughters and put them in the oil drums last year?
Yeah.
Remember that? And he was
Colorado,
on TV.
right?
Like, what was his name?
I don't know.
It was in Colorado.
Colorado.
I watched a special about that guy.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was that he was in love with this other woman, and he's telling this other woman, like, I'm going to get a divorce. I don't like my wife. His wife was working for some multi-level marketing thing where she was trying to sell tchotchkes out of the home, and it sounded like he was annoyed by that because she
That
did
is annoying.
That is
yeah,
annoying.
and she did a ton of social media where she's constantly his wife, his late wife,
Buy
did,
my product
Where
or
she's
whatever.
like, look at how happy my husband and I are. Look, there's my beautiful husband, and he hated it. Right? He's
Yeah.
like, I'm sick of being on your Facebook. I don't even like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
And this
fair
product
point.
doesn't work.
Right.
It's
So
essential oils.
right, whatever garbage you were selling, but just get a divorce, dude.
Of course.
What the hell? He
Yes.
seemed like a fairly normal guy
And
when
why
they
the
talked to him.
kids?
And why did you kill
Leave
your
the
children?
kids. These
How
are
could you
kids.
possibly hurt your
What are
children?
you doing?
What snaps in your brain that you could possibly hurt your children?
We say that like it's like the wife wasn't a big deal. Clearly, don't kill your wife. Don't
Yeah.
kill
Yes,
anyone.
Don't kill your wife. Don't kill your spouse.
But
No,
children.
get a divorce.
It's
But the
children.
kids didn't do anything.
The kids didn't do anything.
Children.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids didn't do anything. He said
Don't
that
harm kids.
He said that the wife was worried that the marriage wasn't going well, and that night when he came home, they had sex. And that was like kind of unusual for her to initiate sex. And the next morning he wakes up and kills her.
Jesus Christ.
And then kills the kids. Dude, what are you doing? If you're having an affair or whatever, then get the divorce.
Get the divorce.
How does your brain
And if she doesn't leave you alone, block the number.
Hey, you can't kill
Like, just
people.
stop. You can't kill people.
Kill people.
And let me say this is going to be... All right, people are going to get really mad at me here.
Easy.
Just listen to me. People are going to get really mad at me here. If your moral compass does not stop you from killing an ex, be it a boyfriend or girlfriend, right? If you're like, I do not care. My moral compass does not stop me from doing that. Doesn't the threat of life incarceration do it?
Exactly.
Like there's things out there that stop you from doing it. So even if you're so
if
broken
you think they deserve
that you're like,
they deserve to
right?
die. Right.
But you just go like, you know what? I'm not going to do it because
I'll go to prison.
I have to go to prison for the rest of my life. So I'll just block the number.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any logical sense.
And the guy in Colorado, when they were searching, they found out that the neighbors had cameras, like security cameras, and the neighbor tells the cops, like, hey, I've got cameras, and clearly this guy didn't know, and he's like, oh my God, it looked like they lived, I don't know, in the suburbs, and he's got a camera that partially points at his driveway and showed his truck leaving stuff. The guy, the murderer, is like shaking. He's so nervous. He's walking around. Clearly, he was not wanting to go to prison.
Right.
Then why did you kill people?
Right. That's what doesn't make any sense to me.
Hell?
If your moral code... Use it different. If your moral code doesn't stop you from stealing someone's car.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like, man, I don't care how much you worked for that car. I'm going to take it. And I don't feel bad about it at all. Doesn't Grand Theft Auto stop you?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Doesn't that and I know the situations are direly different, but even on a smaller level, our boss has a really nice car out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'd like to have that.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't bother me if I stole the car and got away with it and he didn't have it.
Yeah.
Well, like, I really don't have a moral code that would stop me from that.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But then I'm like, oh, man,
if I
lose my job and I have to go to jail and all this thing, so I guess I just get into mine.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it. And now some people are so deranged and mentally ill that you see them in those police interrogations.
Of course.
And they're out
Those
of it.
seem different.
They don't care about... But the people who are scared, who are like, well, and they're coming up with an excuse, and then I drove there. Oh, I don't remember. Oh, no, I didn't know my car had GPS. You clearly are scared of prison.
Yes.
Well, then you shouldn't have killed someone.
Right.
It makes
And I guess there
no
are
sense
people
to me.
who are like, you know what, not scared of prison.
Yeah, there are
So
are
if
those
it's
people.
worth it, it's
Yes,
worth it.
There are
Fine.
those people.
You know, the risk to reward here is fine.
Yeah.
I guess, and I guess stealing a car, people say, the risk to reward here, I'd go make $6,000 off this car. It's worth it. And if I get caught, I'll do 4 years. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
We call my cousin. He just got out of prison for the third time for Grand Theft Auto. He obviously thinks it's worth it. Yeah, he keeps stealing cars. I don't understand. Every time I ask about him, they're like, oh, he stole a car again and he's back in prison. But I wonder, like, well, he must be stealing some cars every time. Exactly. So I wonder how many cars he got.
He gets some off and
Yeah.
gets
I'd like to know.
$10,000 and goes to the boats or whatever.
Right. How are you making the money? So this wealthy real estate developer in Southern California, he's got a boat, and he took his family out on the boat, and he was probably drinking, it sounds like. He's got 2 kids on the boat. One is 11, and the other one is 27. Those are his 2 sons. They hit some sort of big wave, and I guess both of the sons fall off the boat, okay? The older son is in the hospital recovering from cuts and injuries from getting caught in the prop or whatever. The 11-year-old died. The father has now been arrested in the death of his son because I think he was drinking.
As Tiburon police tell it, the accident happened just before 7 p.m. in the dangerous area known as Raccoon Strait between Tiburon and Angel Island. The boat, a twin-engine 33-foot Predator, appears to have hit a wave, bouncing the 2 victims from the bow into the water. What happened next remains unclear, but both suffered severe cuts from the propellers.
There's a fair possibility that they were immediately swept under the boat when they went off the bow, or they were hit when he turned the boat to rescue them.
So what that cop is saying is, did the 11-year-old fall into the boat and just immediately get cut up by the prop, or did Dad turn around to try and get him, didn't see him, and ran over him, which is a huge boating safety. That you learn that in boat safety thing. You got to pull up to the side that the driver is on. You know,
you don't, and what I don't know what state it is, but you don't need a boat license to drive a boat, right?
No, I think you just have to be a certain age.
Yeah. Right. There's no like.
Yeah, we had to take boater safety stuff and get a certificate, and I don't know anything about boat stuff. I don't know if somehow that...
But you don't need that certificate to drive a boat, right?
No.
I know you don't in Missouri. I went to whatever lake is around here. Table Rock.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you did go to Table
And I
Rock.
rented a boat, and they didn't ask me for any if I had some sort
I
of
think you
boater's
just have to
safety
have a driver's license.
thing.
Yeah.
And then my mom lives in Florida, and I go there all the time and take the boat out. Nobody's ever asked me. But I thought, well, maybe that's just because it's our boat and nobody's asking, but you don't need one, right?
No, I don't think so. I think
so. Maybe you don't know that if you're in it.
And they have different ages too. Like the wave runners, it used to be in Missouri. At least you had to be 14, and then I think I heard that they just raised the age for the wave runners to 16 or something. They do have an age limit. There's an age restriction. You can't be under a certain age to drive the boat. And it used to be different for a boat or a wave runner, at least in Missouri. But they change them, and it may be the same. It might be like 16 or 18 for both of them. But it sounds like this guy. They arrested him on suspicion of vehicular manslaughter with a vessel. But they said in one of the articles that he was operating a boat while under the influence. That's part of the charges. So if he hadn't been drunk and he'd run over his son, then, technically I guess you could still try and charge him with manslaughter. But the cop even says, that cop that you heard there at the end, that was a police officer, and he said, I don't want to hurt this guy anymore. You could tell he felt bad. He's like, this guy is already hurt so much he'll never recover. He will never recover from this. He lost his son. He's like, but I have to follow the law here.
Right.
And I have to file these charges. We have to see it through. Because if he was drinking, that's unacceptable. But the cop was basically saying, I wish I could just let him go and let the death of his son be enough of a lesson.
Right.
Because
what a tragic story all the way around.
Horrible. And again, it made me think of my lake trip that I told you about, where these guys are drinking and they're driving around trying to pick people up who literally are under the boat, and everyone's being crazy. I was like, guys, this is all the exact stuff they say don't do in boater safety. They all thought I was a square, but I'm telling you, people die. It's scary. You got to be careful, Lazlo. Got to be careful. I know you're.
Man, that was
you're going
quite the PSA.
You're going in on that lake condo with me. I want to make sure
people
have fun.
Die.
They die, man. They die. Like every year, a lot of
people
them
die.
You want to be the one who was driving? Hell no. Now, my fear currently is the guys on the scooters, guys and gals, because they're everywhere, and sometimes they zip out in front of me. So I'm always on the watch for the scooters. That's my thing. But, in the water, it's craziness. Boats are such a crazy thing anyway. The whole thing is crazy. You're driving around on the water. You can't really stop it. You can turn the boat off and drift. There's no little brakes. You're bumping into the dock, and, here, tie this rope to keep it here because you can't park it.
And by the way, not only is it crazy, it's crazier because you're like, not tie a rope to park it, tie a rope off the back and throw some kid in a tube.
In a tube.
And let him fly around on it.
We'll
But that doesn't happen with cars.
There's other boats around. No.
Exactly. Hey, put the wagon on back and let's party.
Hell yeah.
Put your kids in there together. I've only had a couple. Let's hit this thing.
Yeah, just put the orange flag on the top of your car and you're good to go. Everyone will know you're towing a skateboard or a wagon or whatever.
No, that doesn't happen.
It's like anarchy on the lake. It's like a libertarian dream, but they're starting to crack down. And this wasn't in a lake. This was like the San Francisco Bay. A woman was attacked by a coyote, and the news loves that. I don't know why. Maybe they just like when people get attacked by animals. It makes us feel like there's still some primal element to our survival because we forget sometimes that there's any animals left because we've killed most of them. Anytime there's an attack,
coyote's ass.
Exactly. And I knew you would say that, and I agree. I totally agree with that. Coyote, that's not a small dog.
Coyote,
It's a small. I mean, I think it could bite you.
Yeah.
I think it could.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not going to have some damage. I'm just saying it's a win.
Yeah, but for an entire
win or
neighborhood,
lose.
This whole neighborhood, like, we're not going outside. Or sorry, I think they're from Boston. We're not going outside. The whole thing is crazy. I've lived here forever, and suddenly there's these dogs running around. I can't let my kids outside. It's scary. It's scary stuff.
My two granddaughters were out here. They often play on the front porch. They saw the police, fire, and ambulance came up. They ran in. I came out. The police officer, they were up there for a few minutes. The police officer walked over and advised me not to let them out here alone, nor the dog.
Okay, so that's a witness. But listen to this. The woman who was attacked by the coyote, she's a hero. And I'll tell you why. She was fighting this coyote because the coyote was attacking her friend's dog. It wasn't even her dog. It was her friend's dog. And she fought this coyote to protect her friend's dog. Good for you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, she's okay. It's a coyote. She got scratched and neck and stuff, but she's all right. A man leaves a toddler in a car. A 60-year-old man left a toddler in a car. I think this is New Jersey. And he was the legal guardian of this kid. And, of course, you wonder now, anytime you hear these stories, were you a bad guardian / parent? Are you drinking, doing drugs, or do you not care? Or is this really, most of the time, just a tragic accident, and now you're in a lot of trouble? Just like the guy whose son got run over by the boat.
Right.
You already, if you really loved that kid and really cared about that kid,
horrible.
then you're already as punished as you can be.
The Camden County Prosecutor's Office has charged a 60-year-old man with leaving a toddler in a vehicle at the Lindenwold Patco station. The 22-month-old girl died. Shelton Chambry faces 4th-degree abuse and neglect charges. Prosecutors say Chambry was the legal guardian of the girl.
Did this always happen and we just didn't hear about it as much? Or is it happening at an accelerated rate now because it feels like there's a story a week? And some of the kids are okay. They break windows. We saw the video of the guy.
So where was he? I couldn't understand. Like, where was he going?
New Jersey.
No, but where's he going into?
It sounds like he was going into a mall. So it says the Camden County prosecutor, they filed these charges when the young girl died in the car. It was at 3:38 in the parking lot of the Linwood Patco station. What's the Patco station? Is that like the DMV or something?
I don't know. It sounds like a gas station.
Oh, it's the train. It's the train. The Port Authority Transit.
Got it.
So I don't know why he was there, but authorities say they found this 22-month-old girl, and she was unresponsive. And they tried to, resuscitate her, but they were unsuccessful. And now they've charged him, the 60-year-old guy, with her death. I want to know. Are you just a bad person?
How would you? But the thing is, we'll never know.
Right, we won't know.
There's no way. I mean, he's not going to tell you.
Well, there are times where at least you see the parents and they're crying and say, "I didn't, I just."
But still, you don't know.
You don't know for sure. But if he's just cold about it and like, I didn't want to be a parent, I'm 60 years old.
I mean, if he says that, but nobody's going to say that.
No one's going to say that, but if he's just kind of cold about it and quiet.
I'm not into how he reacts to the death of his
I'm not into
child
police reacting.
Right.
I can react in my living room.
Okay.
I hate when police say, he didn't act right about
No, he
his
didn't
wife's
cry
death.
right. I'm not sure what
They
you do when
change
you're...
it
I'm not sure how you cry,
time.
how you don't cry.
Man, does it freak you out to think like if someone you love died, after watching all those shows, I go, how am I supposed to react? Sometimes he's crying
everybody
too much.
reacts
It was over
different.
the top. Oh, he wasn't crying at all. He showed no emotion. Like, wait, these are like back-to-back episodes.
I know. My family says all the time, my father passed away. I love my dad.
Yeah.
Like, I was tight with my dad. Yeah. And I cried by myself and I wouldn't say cry, welled up for about a second and a half.
Yeah.
And I heard his voice in mine saying, I'll give you something to cry about. He was like, and he taught me, push it down, push it down, push it down.
Yeah.
And so I did. And if I were on TV after that, people would be like, well, this guy does not love his dad.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. You know how much I loved my dad.
Right.
And he never cried.
Right,
and
my dad either, never.
Yeah, and so...
my dad would cry at, like, sad commercials.
Man, my dad would too.
But if there was something bad that happened, never.
Yes, my dad was the same way. He could get emotional over like movies and stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, that was heartfelt. Hey, you didn't actually cry. But you could tell he was moved by it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if there's like a real life thing, push that down, keep walking.
Yeah, I cried. The one time I cried after Dad, I was in the car driving back to my house. I was alone because my ex-wife was out of town. And I choked up for a bit as I was driving down Ward Parkway. I'm like, man, he's gone, And it was brief. And then at the funeral, when I gave the eulogy, I got choked up giving the eulogy. That was it. And my ex-wife asked me one day in the car, like, have you not processed this? I have not seen you really show any emotion about this. I know how close you were with your dad. And it's like, I can't.
This is how I'm processing it.
This is how I'm processing it, though.
Right.
So when they say, well, we responded, we got to the scene and the husband, he just wasn't acting right.
Right.
What is acting right?
Yeah, it's different for everyone.
You guys change your mind all the time. He was crying too much. It's clearly over the top. Oh, he wasn't crying at all. I don't know. It's almost like you want your lawyer at the house before they even show up. Like, you do the talking. Because I don't want them making any assumptions. This guy that was hired on SNL, there's been big controversy because a year ago, someone dug up this old podcast from a year ago where he said some derogatory things about Asians. They were talking about Chinatown, and he said, he used the derogatory term for Asians. And anyway, they fired him now. He's been fired. Before he even got to do the show, they fired him. And this is the year that SNL has hired their first Asian American cast member.
Right.
And then they've got this other white dude who's in trouble for a year going on a podcast using racial slurs.
The show declaring in a statement on Monday it is dropping one of its new hires. 31-year-old stand-up comic Shane Gillis. A video of Gillis from about a year ago surfaced from Matt and Shane's secret podcast, in which he mockingly mimicked a Chinese accent and used a racist slur to refer to Asian people in Chinatown.
So he apologized. He apologized to the cast member,
Now, who
all that
would
stuff.
do mock an Asian
I can't even imagine it. Didn't Rosie O'Donnell do it once? She got in a little bit of trouble for that. But yeah, it seems weird.
Can't
like,
think of
dude,
anybody that
what
would do
year
that.
is this? Why would you even think to do that?
Yeah.
You know,
I can't think of one person.
No, I can't either. I don't even know.
Where
I don't
it would
even know
come
any
from.
stereotypes. Like, I
Right.
don't even know. Like,
Yeah.
what are the stereotypes?
Yeah.
Like, you're smart. I don't know.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure, really. I don't get,
Be weird.
I don't get caught up in that stuff.
Yeah.
So now what?
So now what? He got fired.
And he just what?
He didn't even get to go on the show.
Goes
They
back
fired
into a
him before-
podcast?
He's a stand-up comic, so I guess he goes back to being a stand-up. And it's not like he's big enough to do the Louis C.K. thing where he's like, I'm secretly doing this
Did
show.
you see
tonight.
his
I'm coming
post
back.
on Twitter about it?
No,
No, what did he say?
He, said like, this sucks. I wanted the opportunity, whatever. But the end, he said, I was more of a Mad TV guy anyways.
Yeah, good for him.
He took a shot.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Well, because, SNL has a perfect track record.
Right.
Antonio Brown, if you're not a sports fan, it doesn't matter because he's become news outside of the sports
Yes.
world. And, there's all this stuff about him not wanting to wear the helmet and everything. Everyone knows that. He was in Oakland. He got traded. Or he got cut, and the Steelers took him. So he is now playing for the Steelers, right? And not Steelers, the Patriots. I'm sorry.
He played for the Steelers first.
Right, he's playing for the Patriots now, and he looked good this weekend, right?
Yeah.
But
That
there
catch was.
was a big cloud over him because there's these allegations of sexual misconduct.
But that
right?
touchdown catch shows he's one of the best in the game.
He's still good.
Oh, yeah, he's
still
good.
good.
Oh, yeah.
But that's all happening.
I don't think
while-
anybody ever doubted whether he was good or
yeah.
not. Yeah.
That was happening while
I think
we were
people
all
thought maybe the allegations, all the drama, is it going to
The sore
affect him?
feet, yeah.
He just got to New England, and that touchdown catch was like, no, he's that good.
He's fine.
Yeah. So, but he had that whole sexual misconduct thing, and people were sharing what was alleged to be a message that he had sent the girl. I'm sure you guys all read that, right? What he had said to her. It was pretty bad if he said that. She taken a screenshot and said, "This is what he said to me." So all that was going on over the weekend as he's playing. But then today we find out that he's in trouble again. Did you see what he's in trouble for today? He's in trouble for farting on a doctor in Pittsburgh.
How can he be in trouble for that?
Well, this Pittsburgh doctor claims that Antonio Brown repeatedly farted in his face. I mean, these are the actual headlines.
Wait,
people.
but that's not a crime.
I don't know. We're going to find out because
he's being sued for unpaid bills.
He didn't.
The doctors
Okay,
also
got it.
said that he farted in his face.
Okay, so this is just to show that he's a jerk.
He didn't pay.
But
all
I
of
was
his
like,
bills.
what? While disgusting and I don't even think funny, not criminal.
Well, he says that he owes them this money and these unpaid fees, but he wanted to make clear that he's upset about being farted on. And somehow, some way, maybe there was a video of him doing the farting. I don't need to play the whole thing for you. It's a lot of farting and Antonio Brown laughing. And we try to rise above, just above the fart noise.
Yeah, I don't love
comedy. But this is in the news, so if you listen carefully, you'll hear him. He's standing there with his shirt off, and the guy's got one of those, I don't know, like a sonogram thing or something. He's rubbing on him to try and
pregnant.
I don't know. Like, don't you? I had one of those for my heart.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's what
Yeah.
they used. Anyway, he's checking him out, and while he's touching him and doing the physical, Antonio Brown keeps farting.
Because of bodybuilders, this is pretty freaking low.
There you go.
Damn.
Wait, that was real?
That was real.
I had a lot of fun.
I think he says I had a lot of fiber. Wait,
so what's wrong?
He farted a lot. In the video, he farts a lot. He laughs about it.
And the doctor's like, what?
The doctor says it seemed childish to me. I'm a doctor, and this man is farting in my face. That's what he told the news. It seemed childish to me. I'm a doctor, and he farted in my face. I would think as a doctor, all of that stuff is human body functioning. You're supposed to be used to all of it. If I fart, I don't have to apologize to a doctor. He's the only person I don't have to apologize to, right?
Yeah, I think you try not to do it in
You
another
try not
human
to.
being's face.
Sure, you try not to, but if
It
I
sounded
do,
like he laughed it off, like, I must have had a lot of fiber. I don't know. I wasn't there.
that
Who
was
cares?
Antonio Brown talking, but the doctor does kind of smile and laugh at least a little bit.
Text line says that's assault, brother. You can give someone pink eye.
Right, you could do that, I guess, if you were close enough. He wasn't really in his face, so that's the other thing. The guy's face was, like, up by his chest. You watched the video with me, right? I mean, that didn't look like he was actually farting in his face. But, guys, the headlines say that Antonio Brown is being sued for $11,500 for farting in a doctor's face. He's not.
Okay.
He didn't pay the doctor.
That's
if
why
you
I was
read the whole
shocked.
thing, he didn't pay the doctor. Kevin Hart is in trouble. Man, this guy's had a rough month.
What the hell did Kevin Hart do?
I mean, he's had a rough year, I guess. Said a lot of good stuff happened too, but he had the whole Oscar thing. Then he got in a car wreck a couple weeks ago, flipped his car over a mountain or whatever happened there. He's in the hospital. I don't know if he's home. Now he's facing a $60 million lawsuit.
$60 million?
That's a lot of money, brother. 2017 is when they're alleging this happened. in a Las Vegas hotel room. There's a recording. Says he faces a $60 million lawsuit, according to USA Today, after model and actress Mantia Sabag accused him of negligence, infliction of emotional distress, and invasion of privacy stemming from a 2017 incident, according to court documents obtained by USA Today.
Mantia and I are not asking for a cent from Kevin Hart.
That was Lisa Bloom with her client Mantia Sabag after the story broke about the sex tape. They very clearly said they did not think Kevin was involved in setting up the recording of the sex tape. So now she has filed a $60 million lawsuit and says that that's exactly what she thinks happened. She claims that Kevin and his friend JT Jackson plotted to record the sex tape in order for Kevin to get more publicity.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So they're saying, oh, he did this on purpose to help boost his career, like Kevin Hart needed a sex tape. So do you remember the sex tape incident in 2017? Because I think he apologized. He's married. So this made headlines in 2017, September of 2017, after the video of the two of them having sex was released or leaked or whatever in this Las Vegas hotel room. She denied speculation at the time that she was suing or extorting the comedian, announcing she wanted to join forces with him against the person who illegally recorded him. So she's saying, hey, let's sue the person who filmed us. I'm with you. I'm not going to sue you. She says, my pictures and my name have been released with lies written about me. I am not an extortionist. I'm not a stripper. I am a recording artist and an actress, and I have not broken any laws. So in the lawsuit, which just got filed yesterday, she accuses this Jonathan Jackson of secretly recording her without her knowledge or consent while she was engaged in private consensual sexual relations with Kevin Hart, according to the court documents. So now apparently she thinks that Kevin was a part of it and trying to promote his career. Like Kevin Hart, when that happened, he was it seemed like he was devastated. He was worried his wife was going to leave him. Right. Remember, he was apologizing. He's like, I'm not a perfect man. I don't think he needed a sex tape. He's real famous in 2017.
I don't think he wants that type of publicity either. I know some people do. Yeah. Feels to me like Kevin Hart ain't that guy.
Yeah.
He's got enough money. He doesn't need to promote his career.
Right.
Yeah, wasn't it I don't want to say the wrong name, but wasn't one of the guys from Saved by the Bell, who was the dork on there?
Screech?
Screech,
like Dustin Diamond. Didn't he put one out that
but
some people thought was for publicity or something? Or Fred Durst, I think, might have done one.
He made a porno. Screech made a porno.
Okay.
Like, this is a porno. Look at it. And people were just like, ugh, Screech.
Oh, okay.
Look at what he's doing with his finger. Did you watch it?
What was Screech doing with his finger?
Oh, you would not like it.
Didn't Fred Durst have one?
You would not like it.
I feel like
Fred Durst was in that video that was uploaded years ago of all the rock stars with the women backstage. And there was a lot of people in those videos. I don't want to say names, but big rock bands, including him.
I thought Fred Durst was with all right, I'm going to with a Paris Hilton type of person.
Yeah.
And didn't she upload it on one of those, were they...
the sidekick.
Mm-hmm. And somebody hacked it, and he was in one of those videos.
Okay.
I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Well, I've seen that video of the backstage groupies thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Clearly recorded on an old school VHS camcorder. It's from the late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of people in there. The guy that I like that sings for a pop band that you think is silly,
Sugar Ray,
and Korn, and all these people that I recognize are in this. And in that video, it was like a Girls Gone Wild video. There's this naked girl. She looks pretty young. And in some of the screens, these guys are with the girl. And others, they're not with the girl. It's just them, and they're talking about groupies. But whoever made this edited it all together as this, check out these groupies. And it was really like a Girls Gone Wild kind of thing, only with rock stars. I think that was controversial at the time, and it might be what you're thinking of. If there was another sex tape, I don't know.
Okay.
So, the Kevin Hart thing. This woman is alleging in the lawsuit that she believes Kevin Hart worked with Jackson, who's the guy that she'd accused of recording her.
Yeah.
That he worked with Jackson to record her in an attempt to gain publicity for his stand-up comedy Irresponsible tour, which began days before the video went public and continued through 2018. So specifically, you're trying to promote your comedy tour, which I'd like to go back and see. I'm guessing those were all sold out. Yes. Didn't he do 2 nights here?
I think it's Sprint Center, right?
I thought he did 2 nights here.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Don't think he was having a tough time selling tickets.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she's saying that, he was doing it, but it wasn't selling well.
Yeah.
Maybe that sells more. I don't know.
Her lawyer in 2017 referred to Kevin Hart as a victim, and she told reporters back then that they weren't going to sue Hart or make claims against him. And he publicly apologized to his wife, that thing that I talked about, and now they're suing him. $60 million. That's a lot of money. I mean, some people are rich enough to say, just take the money and leave me alone and make this go away. But $60 million is too much to just say, take the money.
Yeah.
That's too much. How much did O'Reilly have to pay? It was millions,
I was like,
right?
Like 25
I feel like it was tens of millions. It was a lot of money. A lot of money.
1 week after sex videos starring Fred Durst began circulating on the internet, the Limp Bizkit frontman filed an $80 million lawsuit against websites that posted the footage and stills from the singer's X-rated romp with a former girlfriend. They say it came from one of those sidekick hacks. Somebody hacked his sidekick.
You can tell
after
it's bad
Paris
video.
Hilton's were.
You can tell that it's like it's bad video.
And it wasn't. Text line said it was Christina Aguilera. That wasn't it. It was him and someone else.
Says his ex-girlfriend in this. I looked it up on the smoking gun.
Yeah.
So did you guys see the guy who held up the sign on, I think it was on ESPN, and he just had a big sign that said, Busch Light Supply needs replenish, Venmo, and then he gave his Venmo name. So he held that sign up and got it on TV.
I watch that College Game Day all the time, and there's a lot of signs that say, Venmo me money or whatever. But this one was, of the cleverer ilk of like,
out of Busch
need
Light.
beer money, right.
So as a joke, he's an ISU fan, I guess. He brought the sign, held it up, asking for beer money to be sent to his account. Now, he didn't obviously think that he would get any money, or at least much money, but he ended up getting thousands of dollars.
After the very first time it got on TV, like when Kirk Wright and all them were right there on the stage, right after they left, I looked down and I saw I had over $400. So I decided that instead of keeping all the money, after the amount of a case of Busch Light, I was going to donate the rest of it to the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. So we're at a running total right now of over $5,000. I'm hoping to find a couple businesses that want to match the donations to make even more of an impact. So I'm going to keep my end open until the end of the month.
I give up.
No, he's an Iowa fan. Huh?
I give up.
Is he an Iowa fan or
It said ISU. Is that Iowa State?
Interesting.
Listen, if you ask for beer money, any of us, and put up your Venmo thing, and suddenly you have $5,000, we're not donating it to a children's hospital. Now,
I'm donating it to you to get beer.
Right.
You told me that's what you were going to do with it. I think it's fraud, and you have to send me my money back.
Well, I think he's just a good person.
It's fraud.
And it annoys me.
I thought you were going to buy Busch Light.
He said all he was going to subtract was the amount for one case of Busch Light.
Yeah.
You can get a 30-pack for like $13 or something.
Yeah, I mean, good for him, but
he's a good person.
But if you say I want beer money and then you spend it on something else, it's wire fraud.
He posted this thing and said that it was at over $5,700 and that people were still donating and sharing the posts and stuff. And some people were giving 25 cents. One person gave $300 on Monday. Just one person. Here's $300. So he says, you know what? I'm going to give this money to sick kids.
Well,
you good person. You just...
Looks like Bill O'Reilly's paid $45 million in settlement.
Wowza, that's a lot of money. Can you imagine having that kind of money to just say, go away, leave me alone? Well, I guess it wasn't his. It was probably Fox's money.
That's a good way to make money. You just go stand outside there with a sign that says, here's my Venmo thing.
That's what I thought. I'm just going to tweet it.
Need a few bucks.
I'm just afraid all my Venmo things have been, not all of them, but a lot of them were public when I didn't know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I give my Venmo name, I'm afraid people are going to look at it and see Slumfast paid this guy Monday night at 11 o'clock, and then Tuesday night at 11:30, and then Wednesday night. And then on Saturday, he paid him 3 times as much as what he normally does, and this guy's on it's a one guy.
Nobody cares.
You don't think so? I'm worried about that. And I don't want him to be like, dude, don't give out your Venmo. You always pay me with Venmo. But I would like to give it out. You know what? I think I have a Cash App. Does anyone use that still?
Yeah, it's really popular.
Is it? I think I have a Cash App. If you just give that out, do you get hacked and lose all your money, or would people give you some money? You should try it. Just tweet it out.
I Venmo's S Wolf, WOLFF. Hit me up.
He needs some money.
S Wolf?
Yeah, SWOLFF.
2 Fs and Wolf.
Hit me up. I got to make sure I haven't. Let's see what's on here.
Oh, I've seen yours.
All mine are private for a while.
A lot of Taco Tuesdays.
Hey. Man, I have a lot from you.
And then...
A lot from Slim Fast with just a period and the explanation.
You have to put an explanation for some reason.
You know what that means.
Period there. Well, finally, Prince Andrew. You guys know Prince Andrew? He got caught up in the Epstein thing because people alleged that they were buddies. And there was a video that was released of Prince Andrew walking out of that building that Epstein walked out of with like young girls. And like, we were pretty sure you were friends with Epstein.
Yeah.
You remember all that? He denied
the
it.
fact that Buckingham Palace chose to release a statement at all just shows you how seriously they're now taking this situation. And here's why. It was in response to video allegedly showing Prince Andrew waving goodbye to a young woman at Epstein's Manhattan mansion, purportedly shot in 2010 and taken less than an hour after Epstein left the house with another young woman.
Okay, so the reason I bring it up today
yes,
is because there's a new accuser. Someone else says Prince Andrew came to me looking for a good time.
Okay.
Any guesses? She's a rock star.
How popular?
Pretty popular. I mean, people know her.
Miley Cyrus.
Nope. Rock star. In no way a pop star. Definitely a rock star.
Rock star. How old?
I think 55 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going with someone young for
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love says that Prince Andrew once attempted to seduce her after coming to her home in L.A. unannounced. So, according to The Sun, Courtney Love reportedly claimed that Andrew was, quote, looking for a good time and arrived at her home at 1 a.m. in the morning. Now, obviously, you know, she was married to Kurt
Venmo's
Cobain.
is working.
No, you didn't. Did you really?
Did, yeah.
No way.
I swear, I got one for a penny, and I got one for $5.
Ooh, not bad.
Yeah.
Well, what if I said I'm losing my house? My kid, the reason I never talk about him is because he's sick. Please send money. I don't know what my Venmo is. So Courtney Love says that Prince Andrew shows up at 1 o'clock in the morning, knocks on the door. And the long and short of it is that she's like, what the hell are you doing here? And he says, I was told, I'm looking to have a good time, and I was told you could show me a good time.
Yeah.
So then she says, okay, well, I'll make you a cup of tea. She thought this would be funny. I'll make him a cup of tea, and I'm going to use china that I have that actually has the Queen's face on it.
Yeah.
Which she claims she had. So she makes tea for him, and they sit and talk. And then he says that... or she says that, they sat there and talked for a while. And then at one point he said, so what do you do all day? Accusing her just being a rich, lazy rock star. And she goes, what do you do all day, Prince Andrew? This is all according to this story. And then eventually I guess he decided that she wasn't as fun as
How
he
much
thought.
money have you made so far?
Man, it's up to like $8 now.
Man.
So she put on...
Keep those donations coming, boys. That's Venmo S Wolf, WOLFF.
All right, enough.
She says that she was in bed when the doorbell rang and she had her fluffy slippers on and a dressing gown. And there's the Queen's son standing there with a protection officer, totally unannounced. And he said, look, I got your address from a mutual friend. I'm looking to have fun tonight in Hollywood, and I heard that you can show me a good time. She says he seemed to be looking for sex and was quite flirtatious. The Sun added that reportedly she said, of all the things that have happened in my life, this is truly one of the most surreal things, that Prince Andrew shows up at 1 a.m. Now, do you believe her?
I thought he was into young girls.
Right, but
she doesn't look young.
No, but...
I mean, I'd like to show up at her house. Get me.
Yeah,
I'm
me
into
too.
it.
I'm
I
into
think
her
she's
too.
hot.
I'm
But
into her too.
Doesn't sound like the kind of thing Prince Andrew was into.
Right. Did he think that, young girls? Or, where's your daughter? I have no idea. It's a weird story. And the idea that the prince would show up at an L.A. home with protection at 1 a.m. and knock on a door, that seems a little insane.
I mean,
to
he
me.
seems like a weird guy. Just from what the stories have been told, it doesn't seem like he'd be into a 55-year-old Courtney Love.
Hey, look, here's the difference. So all these stories say, Courtney Love claims Prince Andrew turned up to her house at 1 a.m. looking for sex. This is the headline. But this one says that she's now denied it. Says Courtney Love denies that Prince Andrew bugged her for sex after they reportedly met through Epstein. She says Courtney Love's denial that the Duke of York was looking for a fun night in Hollywood comes amid increased scrutiny over Epstein's ties to the rich and famous. So she denied this report that he was looking for sex and fun in Hollywood when he turned up. But it sounds like she's saying that he turned up.
He just showed up for tea?
Maybe. She's not denying that he came over that I see here. So maybe he was just looking for fun. Look, if I got Courtney Love's address...
Maybe he was just looking for fun.
Maybe he wanted to listen to
Maybe he was
music
like, hey, I'm in L.A. I want to get crazy. And maybe Epstein or somebody else is like, man, if you want to party in L.A., here's Courtney Love's address. Go there. Things will get weird.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a pretty good bet.
Well,
if you're like, hey, I want to party and I have an unlimited amount of cash and private security and some sort of visa that says we can't get arrested.
Yeah.
Swing by Courtney Love's place, pick her up and see what happens.
They claimed that, he was looking for sex and that she had said, I don't know if she said this to the Sun or who they claimed she said this to, but that she said, I wasn't into him sexually, so it wasn't going to happen. So like they're saying that she was saying like even if you want to have sex with me, I'm not going to have sex. I'm not into him. But I'm telling you, if we were in L.A. and you're like, hey, this guy knows Courtney Love. Here's her address, and it's 12:30, and we're at some bar.
I'm going.
Right? Yes, I would say let's get an Uber. I'll knock on the door. If I get arrested or whatever, fine. But I'm just going to say,
I want to party.
I told her I can hang out because I think there's a chance she will invite you in. I've spoke to her twice.
Yes.
And both times, she is very social, and she's interested in you. And wants to know about. She's like a genius. She's like we're super smart, right? Eccentric or whatever. And I feel like if you go to her house and knock on the door, Lazlo, there's a chance that she says, "Come on in," like a good chance.
Yeah, and there's a good chance. I think it gets really weird.
It gets really weird.
And maybe you don't have sex with her. I'm just saying. I think like,
but I think
other people show up that you wouldn't expect to show up.
Yeah. Oh,
one of those nights where you go back and you go, "Oh my God."
Oh, if you're bored, you want me to call somebody?
Right.
She's probably not going to call Dave Grohl. I don't think the two of them belong. But she knows
Norton,
some people.
But,
yeah. But there's others that she can invite.
Of course.
Maybe Billy Corgan comes over. I don't know. Maybe they still get along. But she says that the part about the sex stuff she's now denying. But the thought of Prince Andrew knocking on Courtney Love's door one morning. I didn't even know who Prince Andrew was before this scandal. Like, I'm sure I'd heard before about the other side.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I know nothing about the royal family. But if you're a prince and you got all this money and you don't have to work.
Be awesome.
I would go to L.A. and knock on doors. Of course.
Of course, I'm a prince.
Right. Now, you should have stayed away from Epstein. I saw that video. Look, man, you're a prince. Act better. Behave yourself.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
You got to hire someone who keeps you out of really bad situations.
Yes, someone should be there telling you, no, this is a no.
Right.
You can't do
She's
this.
like, no, but I want to. And they're like,
no.
But you're like, I want to go to Courtney Love's. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, we can go there.
Let's go.
But I'm going to the front door.
I want to go to Epstein's.
No.
We're not going, buddy.
We're not going.
I want to fly to Lolita Island.
Nope, not allowed. Sorry.
Not allowed.
Can't let you do that, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I can't do it.
And they should be paid for by the Queen.
Mm-hmm. And she pays him and says, make sure he doesn't.
He can party, he can do whatever he wants, but anything that's going to look, not bad in the tabloids, but illegal in the tabloids, make sure he doesn't do.
What do you think he has, that guy, and it could have been a lot worse?
Like what, he wanted to hang out with Tekashi 6ix9ine or something?
I'm saying that there's a ton of stories
like, no.
that guy has kept him all quiet.
Probably.
We just now hearing about Epstein and Courtney
That video
Love.
was like
but Epstein should be one of the ones that you keep him out of.
Epstein should have been.
Right.
For sure.
Here's an idea.
That's the big one.
Stay away from underage girls.
But that guy's pretty old. I mean, he could be doing this for years. Epstein wasn't like 2008 was the big year it broke out, right?
Yeah, I don't know what year this video is
could have
supposed to
been.
be from.
Right.
But don't hang out with young girls ever. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Even if you're like, well, they were just there. It was a party.
But didn't they
You
say
shouldn't
over
be there.
in England they call him Prince Randy Andy or whatever?
Yes.
Well
So
known.
he's well
Yeah, it's
known
well
for
known.
being
And
there.
so what? Keep it like that.
Yeah.
He ends up at parties late at night
Randy.
with Piers Morgan
I
and
hit on Courtney Love.
strippers and whatever. Yeah.
Just,
That's
avoid
fine.
Epstein. Yeah.
But you don't get
Yeah,
to.
but when the teenagers show up,
you got to get the
That's
prince
that's
out.
not your party.
Nope.
Go away.
You got to get the prince out.
That's what I do for you guys. That's me for you.
That's us for you.
Okay.
It's him for me.
I know.
He stopped me several times.
I know.
A couple times he caught me a little late, but he still came in and helped out.
The Church of Lazlo. 96.5 The Buzz.
Lazlo, Slim Fast, how's it going, fellas?
Good.
There's actually some legitimate national sports news since we've last spoken. The Pittsburgh Steelers made one of the wildest trades that I can remember. The day they find out their quarterback's done for the year and they might only win 4 games, they trade away their first-round pick for a player the Chiefs were trying to trade a first-round pick for, Minkah Fitzpatrick. So the Steelers, trying to stay good, but giving away what could end up being a top 5 pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick, the young safety out of the University of Alabama. That happens. Then Odell Beckham Jr. goes crazy on Monday Night Football. And then this morning, Eli Manning's career ended as he was benched for Daniel Jones. And in the perfect symmetry for his career, they did him a service by not letting him start week 3 because he was 1 loss away from being below 500 as a starter. He finishes 116 and 116. So those are the 3 major sports stories.
So he's done. How did they not? Well, my thought when I heard that they benched Eli, you guys know I like Eli.
Yeah, me too.
But my thought,
and by the way, trending on Twitter was thanks Eli.
Yeah,
the guy had a solid career.
Yeah, but how did they not know before the start of the season that he was done? I kind of felt like we've known for.
Well, I think they did. They drafted his replacement. They just didn't know. And I think they thought if they were going to be 2-0, then you let them run it out, see if they can make one more run at it.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't start out that way, now you know you're already in rebuilding mode, but now you know you're in rebuilding mode. Is that right, Nick?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I think the Giants have been trying to have it both ways and talking out both sides of their mouths ever since this Dave Gettleman guy took over. I mean, they signed Beckham to a contract extension. Once they pay him a signing bonus, they then trade him after saying they didn't sign him to trade him. They say they think Eli has 2 years of football left, but they spend the 6th pick on Daniel Jones, then bench Eli after 2 games. Now, listen, Eli's been done for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And so
at least 2. At least 2. Everyone could agree on at least 2 years you've known like he's done.
100%. I mean, and he led the NFL in interceptions the year before Odell Beckham came into the league. Odell gave him a slight resurgence statistically Odell's first 2 years in the league, and then Odell's third year, Eli was not good, but the team won 11 games. But since then, it's just been a disaster.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this. We're talking about Eli Manning and the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's teams out there with really, I mean, you guys are saying Eli's done, but there are teams out there with really bad quarterbacks or in bad quarterback shape that he would, I believe he is not the worst quarterback that would be starting this week.
And maybe he could at least help some of these young guys. He could teach some of these young guys.
Well, and there's the obvious argument. Jacksonville, who is, Jalen Ramsey has demanded a trade. That's the latest news in the NFL. Everyone wants the Chiefs to go after him. I do not see how the Chiefs could make the contracts work because he's going to have to be the highest paid corner in the NFL if you trade for him. But Tom Coughlin runs the Jags. They signed Nick Foles, but he's now out 10 weeks with a broken collarbone. They think they can win that division. That one makes sense. But Eli Manning.
And people who don't know, Tom Coughlin was the coach of the Giants for most of Eli Manning's career.
Who I also like a lot. He may be the reason I like Eli. I liked them together a lot.
Yeah.
And for both the Super Bowl wins, listen, for Eli, for his brand, for his life, for all these things, it seems like he wants to be a lifelong Giant. He would have to consent to a trade, and I do not think he would.
Okay. Now, then the other thing was that
Eli wants to play anymore. Eli's the highest paid football player ever.
Really?
How about that?
I thought Stafford had the biggest contract or something.
What'd you say?
I thought Stafford got the biggest contract or something.
At one point, Eli Manning has made more money in his career from the NFL than any player ever.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Then the other thing was that Odell Beckham traded in that crappy $300,000 watch and wore a $2.5 million watch.
Yeah,
I like that.
He sent me
That's
the
right.
$190,000 Richard Mille watch, which is great because now I'm going to be able to send Lazlo the watch that
That's exactly what I thought.
I thought you were going to send me the $200,000 one.
That's what he's saying.
He's saying he's going to send the one he was wearing and put on the other.
One he was wearing. I gotcha. I saw that he was wearing that watch, and I thought, I hope he gave the old one to Nick.
Yeah, of course. Well, who else would he give it to?
Yeah.
By the way, everyone banging on Odell, and then there's, gosh darn it, there was something else I wanted to ask you something about Eli, but real quick. Everyone banging on Odell all week. First of all, did you see, Lazlo, did you watch the game last night? Because the referees did something really, I think, underhanded to Beckham, that because the game was a blowout and Beckham played great and Odell decided to take the high road, which is kind of odd for him, is not being talked about. Did you see what happened yesterday?
No, what?
Okay. So Odell obviously wore that watch in week 1, and the NFL said you're not supposed to, and he said I might keep wearing it, and then he upped the ante by wearing a $2 million watch in warm-ups, but not during the game. All that happened, right?
Yeah.
And Beckham has a fraught relationship with officials and the league at times. So the league this year has started to allow certain players to wear tinted visors as long as it's made by a certain company and you've got essentially like a doctor's note, right?
Okay.
So Beckham was wearing a tinted visor. The same visor he was wearing that he says a lot of players have been wearing, whatever it is. They do a uniform and equipment check before the game starts. He was fine. First drive of the game, Beckham makes a spectacular catch down the sidelines, one-handed, to put the Giants in the red zone.
Yeah. Right at that one, right at the goal line?
Yeah.
Yes. The next play, they run the ball, and then it's 0-0, the Giants are facing a third down, so I guess it's 2 plays later. They're facing a 3rd and goal. At that moment, one of the referees goes over to Beckham and says, "Hey, man, that's an illegal visor. You got to come out of the game till it goes off."
Oh, my God. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that was why, but I have Odell Beckham Jr. on my fantasy team, and I was like, why are they taking him out? Let him score the touchdown.
Yeah, no, it was the referees made him do it. You saw them, they talked about it on the broadcast, and they ended up, what they ended up doing was screwing off the visor and screwing on a new one. But it was, to me, so very obvious.
Right at the goal line.
The referees were waiting until the moment it would affect him the most.
Yeah. Right.
That they had, because they had seen, I believe, I can't prove this, that they had seen it before the game, and they decided, well, we'll just wait.
And then you wait till, was it 3rd and goal? Was that?
It was 3rd and goal from the 6 when they noticed it, when they allegedly noticed it.
Well,
pretty bad.
They don't like him. I don't understand why the watch is a story, and the fact that it's everywhere. Odell Beckham wears $2.5 million watch. Why do we care?
Well, now that starts kind of a story then.
Okay.
Just because I think it could get broke on someone's helmet. Like, it's a lot of money to be running. Even I know you're Odell Beckham money, so it's different. But to the normal guy who's watching football, you're like, oh, man, I hope he doesn't break that. Or I hope he does, depending on how you feel. That's a $2.5 million watch he's got out there.
But he didn't wear it while he was actually playing?
He wore it in warm-ups. He didn't wear that one during the game.
Okay.
And then, so on Eli, the question, run, baby. Sorry, my daughter's trying to fly kite. And I don't, do you guys know how to fly kites? I don't know
Not really.
how to fly kites.
Never had much success.
Let me ask you this on and Odell, of course, yesterday, he had the one-handed catch that only he makes with regularity, the way that one was. And then he had the 90-yard catch-and-go touchdown. He did this all in New York, in Giant Stadium, after the Giants had gotten rid of him. It was great. I was so happy for him. Let me ask you this. Do you think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That's for that Super Bowl alone. I mean, that was one of the greatest Super Bowls I've ever seen.
So, listen, his case for being a Hall of Famer is very clear-cut, and the case against him is very clear-cut. Can I just lay them both out real quick?
Oh, he's lost a lot of games and thrown a lot of picks.
Well, he's never led the NFL in any category ever, except for interceptions, which he's done 3 times. Where he's never led in touchdowns, never led in passing yards. He's never led in passer rating, anything like that. There was never a point in his career, not one season, where football voters, where the football public thought he was even the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL, much less first or second. He's going to finish his career with a record, a 500 record, and a career quarterback rating of similar to Jay Cutler's, right?
Okay.
And by the way, we talk about him as a great playoff performer. In his 16-year career, there were only 2 years he ever won a playoff game. Now those 2 years, he won the damn Super Bowl. The case for him is just as simple also. He's going to finish top 8 all-time in touchdowns and yards. He never missed a game.
He threw 4,933 yards in 2011. 4,933.
Yeah, okay.
That seems good to me, but I don't know. I don't play fantasy football. That seems good. I thought they were usually like 2,000 or 3,000 yards.
No.
A 5,000 yard is kind of that's
like a big.
Whoa, you had a great year.
It's like a big year, right?
And so he.
But look, let me read this off real quick, Nick. Over 56,000 passing yards.
Yeah, I said top 8 all-time passing.
Right, I know you said it, but 362 passing touchdowns, 241 interceptions, 116 and 116 record, a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, and a 4-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Those are Hall of Fame numbers, man. It doesn't mean he's the best quarterback ever, but those are Hall of Fame numbers.
He was great. He was elite. He was an elite quarterback, for sure.
Doesn't mean he was the best. He wasn't even the best of his generation.
No.
But he's a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, and his numbers will stand up against a lot of guys who are in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so here's the thing. So then how many guys from this era are making it? Because so obviously Big Ben's making it. If you're putting Eli in, I think you have to put Phillip Rivers in.
Well, no. No, because I think part of it, because of the 2-time Super Bowls. And
Yeah,
the
that's big.
2 Super Bowl wins and 2-time Super Bowl MVP. We just can't discredit those.
Yeah, that's huge.
Okay, well then, all right, so that's fine. But so then, of this era, his brother, obviously, Brady, obviously, Rodgers, obviously, Breeze, obviously, Big Ben, obviously, Eli, obviously.
Yeah,
I think so.
So 20% of the starting, and you're saying no to Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, the regular season numbers are right.
I'm not saying that Phillip Rivers, no. I'm just saying you said, oh, you have to. No, I think there can be a debate about Phillip Rivers because he didn't win a Super Bowl.
He does, and he's never even been to a conference championship.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So during Eli's prime, 20% of the starting quarterbacks in the league were Hall of Famers.
Okay.
No, okay. It just seems. Listen, he's gonna make it. I think it's a more questionable case than you guys think.
I'm trying to imagine that his name's not Manning. Like, as you're saying all this, I'm trying to imagine it's just Tom Smith or whatever. And he's saying, separate him, because obviously I always thought, oh, he's the greatest quarterback's brother. You couldn't help but think that. But just looking at what Lazlo's showing me, I mean that and those 2 Super Bowl wins, he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay. All right.
I would say that Super Bowl pass alone could be enough.
I mean, certainly Dak gets his picture in there.
Yes, something. That ball should be there.
Phil Simms isn't a Hall of Famer, Lazlo.
What's that?
Phil Simms not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Phil Simms should probably be a Hall of Famer.
No, but he shouldn't be. They're correct for not putting him in.
You know what? I don't have Phil Simms'
I
stats
thought
in
he was
front of me.
great, but
I don't know.
But looking at what Lazlo's pulled up for Eli, I feel like, he's got the numbers.
I mean, if you were to say that, I mean, there's people in the Hall of Fame that and this is just off the top of my head, I don't have Phil Simms' numbers in front of me, but Joe Namath, he's better than Joe Namath.
Well, Namath has no case for the Hall of Fame whatsoever. He's the worst player in the Hall of Fame. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns. He had the guarantee in the Super Bowl, and that's why he's in.
Well, I don't know why I'm looking at Phil Simms
it's
now.
fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. I was just asking you guys. You guys made a passionate case. You guys love Eli Manning. I get it. I listen. I know why Lazlo would love Eli Manning. He would have been the greatest Lion ever, except for the fact if he were a Lion, he would have retired after 6 years.
Oh, stop it!
All right,
stop it.
Thanks, Nick.
Stop it.
But no problem. I'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.
The Church of Lazlo on 96.5 The Buzz.
It never cooled off in here, man.
It is hot
That was
as
hot.
hell. And you're wearing a long-sleeve shirt.
Like the other day, wasn't that hot in here.
I meant to mention your shirt because you went big time there and bought Champion, which came back in style a couple years ago. Now they're all expensive. Remember when they used to be like the cheapest thing you could buy at any retail store? How does stuff like that get cool again? Just one athlete says, this is cool.
Time.
He wears it in an Instagram picture or something?
Yep. And time, everything's cyclical.
10 years ago, you could have bought that shirt for $10. I'll bet you paid like $65 for that thing.
Nah, they're not that much anyway.
Really?
Yeah, you can still get them for cheap, man. Don't kid yourself.
I thought they were out of my price range. I saw something. I don't know if you want to talk about this or not. I know we're getting ready to leave, but and it's hot in here, so we can make this
so
quick.
hot.
But I saw this thing from The Sun, that Courtney Love thing, I think was from The Sun.
Course.
But this is about, they did this like survey thing talking about inconveniences, modern day inconveniences, and like what you would do to avoid these things. They say the study explored the top 40 things which get on the nerves of people, right? And it found that, there's a list, and here it is, and here's the most annoying inconveniences, and there's 40 of them. We don't have to go through all of them. What do you want to do, like 10 of them?
Sure.
So number 10 was not having enough leg room, like on an airplane or in a. I was surprised that was top 10 though. How often? I live in Kansas City, so I don't do public transportation much. Although they're talking about making all the buses free. Have you seen the mayor talking about that?
No.
They're talking about making all the buses in Kansas City free.
That would be nice.
And then anybody could ride. I'm for it. Okay, number 9, running out of data on your phone. I've had T-Mobile for so long. I don't run out of data.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay, number 8. Not being able to find the end of the sticky tape.
Yeah, I do hate that.
I hate that.
God, that's the worst.
But how often do you do that?
I don't use a lot of tape. So
4 times a year or something?
If you move,
you're
you're trying to find the...
No, but I'm saying how many times you do that. It's not that often.
No, it's not. But it does suck.
I did. Actually, this weekend, I was putting a radio in my girlfriend's car, and I didn't have any electric tape, but I saw some packing tape laying there in the middle of the car. It took me like 5 minutes to peel the thing off and then break it apart. That doesn't happen often enough to be a top 10 inconvenience. Number 7 is when you turn on your computer and it says we need to update. You got to update. You got to update OS or you got to update Windows. You don't use a laptop that often.
I don't at all, ever.
So I use my laptop.
Literally in front of a laptop right now.
Well, for work, but it's not his.
Oh, yeah.
When I go home, if I turn on my laptop tonight, it's going to say Windows needs to update. It's almost every day. I'm like, okay, fine. Number 6, paying extra to put your luggage on an airplane. That doesn't bother me.
No, me neither.
I heard a thing about how flights are actually cheaper because they separated that stuff. And the reason you can get, it was like a Freakonomics thing, but they were saying the reason you can get, a $80 one-way ticket on Spirit or whatever is because they charge for each individual thing. So instead of paying what you might not need, and Lazlo, you and I almost never carry a suitcase.
Well, that's the thing, too. So if I know if I'm flying Spirit or one of these that are going to get me, then I just pack differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I just keep
because everybody's allowed a backpack, so you're like, boom, all right. And then I know, like, all right, well, it's going to cost me a little bit of money, but I should just go buy like a pack of socks, a pack of underwear, a pack of T-shirts, and throw 3 shorts in there.
Yeah.
Boom, I'm all done. Yeah. Or if I'm going somewhere, I can be like, all right, well, I'll just wear what I have now, put 1 change of clothes in there in case of emergency, and buy a pack of underwear, a pack of socks, 2 pairs of shorts, and a pack of black T-shirts.
Yeah.
And I'm done, and then throw them out.
Yes.
It's cheaper.
Do you remember the last time you and I flew to L.A.? We flew Spirit, one way. And so I just had my backpack. And when I got there, we were with Rose, remember? And I said, I need to go get some clothes.
Exactly.
And there was an American Apparel that was going out of business, and I bought clothes to wear while we were there. And that was it. So
I mean, if you're just going for like a weekend, boom, you're done.
I spent $40 or whatever on clearance clothes. It would have cost me
you $80 to pack something.
Yeah, exactly. Number 5, they say things being late, like your flight being late, your bus being late, if you ever take the train, any type of late transportation. I would think most people here that would be if your flight is late, if you fly a lot.
I do hate that.
But, I would say missing a flight is more annoying, or saying, you didn't check in time. I can see the plane right there. Sorry, you got to check in 40 minutes before.
I do hate getting there, though, because they're like, you got to be here. The same thing. You got to be here so early, and you got to do all this stuff, and then you look at it, you're like, 2 hours?
2 hours?
Jesus
they're just trying to
Christ.
sell me $10 sandwiches. That's what they're trying to do.
And now it's 2 hours delayed, so it's 4 hours, and there's not enough time for me to actually go home and come back.
Yeah. Is a bottle of water in the airport once you're past security, is it like $6? Can we call a congressperson or something and change that?
Price gouging?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And they say, like you say, you got to get here 40 minutes early and an hour before the flight. They know you're going to be trapped in there. I think that's a scam. I'm on to you guys. Number 4 is running out of phone battery. That sucks. But I carry my backpack around with chargers and extra batteries.
Lazlo lives on 3% all day.
Yes,
I don't know
all the
how
time.
you do it.
We're on an airplane. He's like, I'm going to listen to music. I'm like, dude, you can't. You got like 3%. He's like, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then we get to where we're going. He plugs it in at the airport for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
And then,
boom. Guy lives on like the margins
He needs
right
to
there.
get one
By the
of
way,
those
in
cases.
life as well, just so you know.
Yes.
My entire life is on 3%.
Checking account.
I'm like, man, if I
Gas
lose this
tank.
3%, I'm screwed.
Gas tank.
But boy, I'm running right in. But let's go. We'll be all right.
Let's buy Lazlo one of those, what are they, Mophie cases? Is that what they're called?
I've had them before, yeah.
You've had them before?
Yeah.
Don't you need it? It doesn't add
Sometimes
like
it
hours
breaks,
and hours?
whatever. I don't charge
He
those.
doesn't charge
so-
his phone at night, which
is
to
what
me
most of us do, yeah.
I can't imagine not plugging
I
my phone
charge
in
it in as I'm going to bed. Plug
you,
it in.
you don't
leave
have
it
a
there.
nightstand, right? You don't have one at
I do
home?
have a nightstand.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah, when you go to bed, just boom.
It
and then you
angers
wake
me
up.
that you
Look,
don't
it's not like
charge
I
it.
haven't thought about this before.
Yeah, you just don't do
It's
it.
not like I haven't. It's not. I should.
I
plug it
I
in.
know. It's none of my
I've
business.
contemplated it.
I don't know
like
why
it.
it irritates
But
me.
I read it. I watch videos. I'm on my phone and I fall asleep.
Yeah.
It doesn't irritate me. It makes me nervous sometimes. Like when we're flying.
gives
or
me
somewhere,
baseline
we're in
anxiety.
a meeting. Yeah, but I like it. It's like a
100% right now.
There you go.
How'd that happen?
Because he
I
charges
plugged
you
it
at
in.
work with
Oh,
Jeremy's
okay.
charger.
And I won't charge it again until I get back here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a Lazlo affectation that it's kind of endearing. Like, like you said, everything's 3%. Let's go. Let's go. And he knows, like, you can be at 3%, which literally that we could be at 3% as a radio station.
Yeah.
Like, you are in the bottom 3%. And he's like, let's go down there and tell these guys we're great. He just does it. I'm like, let's just give up. Let's just throw in the towel.
we
We're
got
done.
it. We'll be all right.
Everything's 3%. Okay. Then the top 3, forgetting your passwords.
I hate that.
I use the same password for a lot of stuff. I shouldn't do that.
I use like 4 or 5.
Me too.
Yeah, but then you forget them and you don't want to do it because now the place is like, if you do it 3 times, then it automatically logs you out. So I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
So now I have to change my password. Yeah. But then when I go to change it, I put one in. It's like, you can't use a password you used before. And I'm
Right.
like, well, I only have 4.
Right.
Now I have to come up with a 5th one. So I put an exclamation point on the end of it.
Yeah.
But I always forget the exclamation point. So
Yeah.
next time I go in, I'm like, well, I don't know the password to that, so
Yeah.
it's just a pain in the ass.
And then they say, we'll send you
I
the
hate
link
it.
to change it to this email account that I never use. Like, I don't know the password to that.
Right.
I gave it to you because it's junk.
I started using my notes app, and I'll just put HBO. Here's my login.
I do it with, the calculator app that you store your sexy pictures in?
Secret calculator,
Yeah, the
yeah.
secret calculator. No one sends me pictures anymore, so I turned that into a password thing.
Oh,
so when you
smart.
open it up, it's just got my bank password.
Oh, that's
everything
good.
is in there, but you have to use the password to even see it. And then I can see in the little thumbnail pictures, I write on it. It says like Commerce Bank or Bank of Midwest or whatever,
Yeah.
so I know what I'm looking for. You guys should try that.
I know your
Make life
password.
easier.
It's too late
If you
now.
use
You
one
don't-
for everything, I know it.
You don't know the one for my calculator.
No, I know. I'm not. I don't know that, but I'm saying if you use one for everything, because you gave me it for a few things,
Yeah.
I think it's the same.
I know.
But I also
when
gave
I
you
gave
mine.
it to you the first time, I was like, oh boy.
But I gave you mine for other stuff.
Don't go over my limit on browsers or something. I don't need you doing that. Number 2, calls from unknown numbers. I'm so used to that.
That doesn't bother me. I just
owe
mute
people
them.
money. Yeah, I
Mine
just turn
happens
it
if
off.
you listen to this program, you hear it go off all the goddamn time.
I would say the annoying thing is when they leave a voicemail like, hi, this is Sarah from U.S. Bank. You need to call us or we're going to ruin your life. And you're like, man, don't leave a message, okay? I'll pay you later. God, why are you so mean?
Yeah, who's
I sent this through for a reason.
Right, you guys are rich. You'll be
2019,
fine.
geez.
God. And number 1 is Wi-Fi connections that are intermittent, where it like goes away and comes back. That's a number 1 modern day annoyance. Is your internet coming and going?
Nah.
When does that happen?
It's annoying, but
I don't think if your Wi-Fi doesn't work at work, you just use your cell phone.
mine is if like at my place, it works great in the living room. If you walk down
That's
the hall,
true. That's true.
it'll kind of go in and out.
It goes out. I can't get internet in my back room. Do you have
Yeah.
Google?
I do too.
No.
Do you have Google?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does your internet not go far
It
enough?
used to, but I bought the things.
You bought things and they work.
The little disc
network
things?
extenders.
Yeah, I bought them.
I need to get
It's like
those.
3 of them for $200 or whatever.
Yeah.
I put one in my basement and one upstairs that work fine.
I need that. My house is 500 square feet or something, and I can't get internet.
Well, I
in the
couldn't
back
get
room.
Wi-Fi in my back room.
Yeah, that router sucks. Well,
and
that's
then
it.
obviously you convinced me to go to Hulu. So now if I can't get Wi-Fi back there, then this whole thing's screwed.
Yeah.
So I had to buy it.
Well, I hope that you're liking Hulu. I really still love it. It's like my best
I don't know what
friend.
to talk about. It's fine.
Okay, well that's a good note to end on. Intermittent Wi-Fi, that sucks. So hope you guys have.
What was 11?
steady-
It always bothers me from an OCD thing that what just missed. 12 doesn't matter, but what just missed?
You want to know the number 11 thing?
Yeah.
Advertisements that don't have skip buttons.
Oh yeah. Well, that's all over Hulu.
Oh, I don't have commercials.
And some
Man,
Oh, if you're watching
advertisements
actual
on
TV,
on
yeah.
YouTube could be number 1.
Yeah, well, that when
But
you
if you're watching some
sick of
stuff on
ads.
Hulu that isn't
Like
under
live
their,
TV, yeah.
or even some of their I pay for, but
on-demand stuff that's from a network, yes.
right? And they're like,
that you
oh,
only get with live TV,
right?
Yeah,
You
they
can't
show
right,
commercials,
right? Then and it tells you counting down.
It gives the seconds.
49. I'm like,
Yeah, it says 160.
It's
whatever,
even
you're like,
worse.
oh. And it's the same commercials.
Oh, over and over.
Wait a second. So I wonder if it shows you different things.
No, I had one commercial. I forget what it was. We were watching something, and finally, Euro, my oldest, just got up and he goes, "Look, I can't watch this goddamn commercial one more time."
No,
I just
I
went
know.
downstairs to play video games.
Yeah. It's
not that
horrible.
we didn't like the show.
It's the same
It's like the
commercial.
show's good, but I can't watch this
Do you know
goddamn
what the commercial was?
If you say it, then I'll probably.
Mine's Homicide Hunters constantly, and then there's a
Oh, no,
couple
there's
of
another
prescription
one.
drug ones. And there's the one where they do the fake prescription drug, but it's for a bed. And they're like, our doctor prescribed sleep. Sleep is like being awake, only it's nice. And they do the whole and then it's for a mattress company.
I think it could have been Homicide Hunters.
That
it was
thing
a
is
TV
on
show.
every single
Yeah,
time.
it was
It's
a
all
TV
shows
show
me.
of some sort.
I'm like, look, I know this show is on. I already watched the show. I've tweeted at Joe Kinda. Stop advertising it to me.
Did he tweet you back, by the way?
No, he probably only checks it intermittently. I checked. Well, let me check one more time. Nope. Brett's the last person to tweet at us, and it's a picture of Ace Ventura coming out of a rhino's ass. I appreciate that, Brett. It's
Well,
nice
you can
to know
tweet
you're
at
thinking
us
about
at Lazlo the Buzz.
Yep, or at Slimfast965.
The Church of Lazlo on 96.5 The Buzz.